Hello and welcome back to another episode of Spawn Trap's Hit Pause MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse podcast that took a stupid pill with our breakfast this morning. I am Till. I'm joined once again by Jordan.
Hello, everyone.
We are talking about the finale to Secret Invasion and the series as a whole. I'm gonna have to play back the show while we talk so I can remember some stuff because I did not take notes and I probably should have for the finale.
Yeah, I
But
only took a couple, but not a whole bunch. I was hoping to watch it again, and I didn't have time.
yeah, same. Um, I had zero free time to rewatch it. So I'll let you start then because I got nothing. Uh, like to start off with. So what did you think
Um,
of the finale first of all?
um, I think I liked it up until the fight.
You did text
Fight,
me about the
yeah,
fight.
yeah. The fight was just okay. I honestly can't actually remember what happened. uh, Other than that, was there the fight scene with Gaia and was that the last one? That was the last episode, wasn't it? With Gaia
This
and
guy. Oh, and
and
Priscilla or
Nick
what's her scroll
Fury's
name? Yeah,
wife. Was
the
that the last episode?
that was the previous episode. Yeah.
Previous episode? Okay. Shit, I don't remember what the hell else happened other than the fight. Uh,
Well, we
and
start
then and then
off
what happened
with.
after?
I think we start off with. Actually, let me go back here. Yeah, we start off with there's Nick Fury calls his wife because he's far away. Then there's the car that like drives into the scroll compound and they start shooting at it.
Yeah.
And I think then Nick Fury like snipes the two guards, and just
Yeah.
walks in. Um, and then there's Nick Fury, or sorry, the roadie scroll, which I didn't catch on, but I guess the internet's calling him or her Scrody, which I should have
Grody.
been saying the whole time.
Oh my
Uh,
god, that's amazing.
yeah, trying to convince the president to
Nuke Russia.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
and start World War III.
Okay, yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah, it's starting to sound familiar. I did know like when Nick went to
By the way,
um
first, I keep forgetting, this is a spoiler podcast.
yes.
We're talking about the finale to Secret Invasion, and I just spoiled a bunch of stuff for you. But we're also going to be talking about two new trailers, one for the Marvels, one for I just told you Loki
Loki.
season 2.
Yes.
So we're going to be spoiling that as well. So just fair warning, we're going to be talking about that stuff. But yes, go ahead.
I did know like when that car was rolling up to the gate and those guys were shooting at it,
Yeah.
I was like, obviously there's nobody in there. That's a setup. And when that two headshots came out right away, I was like, or the two shots, and they put them down really quick. I was like, that might be. I think that's Nick Fury. But because she was bringing the power, like the vial,
Hmm.
and it was going in the thing, I was like, you know what? I know you asked what I thought was going to happen, and I couldn't really know what was going to happen for the big finale. But I think we already knew that both Gaia and or what's his name? What's the bad guy's name? Or
Uh,
something Vic,
I'm
Gorvik.
forgetting like a bunch of names right now.
Yeah,
Gravik,
yeah,
Gravik.
Gravik. So Gravik and Gaia, I had a feeling there's gonna be like the big standoff fight scene would happen between them.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
I kind of thought that was gonna happen, but I don't know why I didn't say it. I just didn't know it was gonna be to that extent of superpowers
Right.
because that
Yeah.
was crazy. But uh, once he entered that chamber, I was like, this is obviously Gaia. Like I already knew it
Okay.
was Gaia as soon as he entered the
I
chamber
I,
because
I think you realized before me because for me it was when he presented the what are they calling it? The harvest. The harvest
harvest. Yeah,
thing. He's
yeah,
like, here, take the harvest. I'm like, that's Gaia.
yeah. See,
It's
yeah,
obviously
see,
Gaia.
for me, like when he
Yeah.
was in there and he was like doing the whole, I knew it even before that though. Once he was doing like the coughing and stuff, I was like, they already said that this was like an old like Fallout and there was gonna be
Yeah.
what do you call it, radiation for humans, and he's like, take some pills. I was like, no way, Nick Fury's just going in with some pills and gonna like risk radiation when we're gonna see more of him. So
Yeah.
obviously, I was like, I knew it had to be Gaia. if it wasn't Gaia, I was like, it's gonna be somebody else, but I was pretty sure it was gonna be Gaia. And then she was just gonna go in there, and then as soon as like they turned on the machine, I was like, okay, Nick Fury would be dead, and this guy's just gonna be a super scroll. So I was like, this is the worst plan ever. Has to be Gaia. And then it turned out to be Gaia, and I was like, yeah, here we go. It's fucking her. So then we had the big you know what's funny though? I had the Deadpool thing in my head where he goes, big CGI fight
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
up.
yeah.
Or yeah, like
So
I had the same thing.
I did text you because you didn't watch She-Hulk.
Yeah.
But the finale to She-Hulk, like without spoiling anything, um, was making fun of this finale. Like everything about this finale. It like the finale to She-Hulk was explaining the joke about how this is like just typical of Marvel, and it's just like word for word like how She-Hulk goes like this is how the show ends and stuff like that is
Yeah.
exactly what they presented in Secret Invasion. So it was really funny watching that after watching She-Hulk.
Yeah.
But yeah, like once you get around to She-Hulk and then you watch the finale and you think, oh shit, yeah, Secret Invasion did all of the stuff that they're talking about. It's pretty funny.
Um, what's the one I thought it was weird. It was cool that they like once they got their powers. By the way, that machine works apparently flawlessly with no sort of side effects whatsoever. Because I was
Yeah,
like, okay, everyone's
yeah.
just got these powers immediately.
Hmm.
But so I was kind of pissed that they had all these powers and like they could just like use them almost right away. Now I'm curious for your opinion. Do you think when they use their powers, they could each see that their arms were changing into something, or do you think that was just for us to know what they were
No,
using their
no,
powers?
no. They could see. They
You could
could see.
see,
Yeah,
yeah. Like I know, like the arm, like I get stuff like that, but like even
yeah.
like when they used Drax's arm and it was just has his tattoos, I was like, Drax doesn't really have any powers. That was just his. He's just
That's just
durable.
who
It's
he
just
is. Yeah, but
yeah.
I think
So I
it's
thought,
I think it's because they are shape shifting aliens
yeah,
who, not only like take the form of somebody, not their abilities. Like the whole character design is to take the form of how somebody looks,
right,
just by looking at them, and then when they have their equipment and science and everything that not only um, controls how they look, but also their memories, their whole life, their behavior, so that way nobody can differentiate them from the actual person.
yeah,
When you mix the actual DNA of that person in the machine, I think it makes sense that they take the form of the person that they're trying to mimic for the abilities. It's not just the abilities; it's actually who they
yeah,
are. And it's just also it's not so much the powers that they're imitating. They're basing this off the comics, where in the comics their limbs or whatever they're using mimics the look of the character, that the ability that they're trying to go for. So
right.
it was a design choice based off the comics, but it also makes sense in the science and everything of the MCU.
I didn't I don't know. It was bothering me, but I saw somebody. I was reading some stuff on Twitter, and somebody wrote something that made sense to me. I think somebody wrote, like this is a two-parter that I made sure to save because it kind of helps me wrap my head around it. But
Yeah.
like someone wrote, I honestly don't understand this. Even from the supernatural logical sense, I can't make sense of it. Too rushed. I love the show overall, but I'm not sure what to make of this. Now everyone with access to Avengers DNA can be superhuman. Even Captain Marvels and Ebony Maws.
But who has access to that?
So someone just said like anybody could as if they're in that machine. But then this guy wrote, which kind of made sense to me. He said, from what I could understand, no. The scroll's ability to shapeshift combined with the regenerative powers of the extremis formula
Mhm.
is what enables them to emulate the powers of those whose DNA they absorb. The machine slash process wouldn't work on a human or any other
Yeah,
species,
yeah.
is
It's
what someone.
specifically designed for
Yeah.
scrolls. Yeah.
So I like that. That makes sense to me. I was like, cool, I can wrap my head around that. What was weird though was when they like used Ebony Maw's powers, like they got the rings around the guy's fingers too. I was like, why do you have his rings?
I
Like
think
that's
probably
just
because he
so us.
wears the rings all the time, and they probably have like the muscle memory. I don't know.
I was like, why
Like,
is that in the
yeah, they
DNA though?
shouldn't have
I
had
just
the rings.
yeah, I thought that was so weird. I saw Ebony. I was like, it was like mostly just so that we knew it was Ebony Maw's
Yeah, yeah,
hands.
that's what
But
it is. Yeah.
I also I'm thinking because Gravik and Nick Fury both worked on this together, that they both knew all the DNAs in the system. I just thought it was weird that this vial had everybody's DNA. It's
Hmm.
just I was like, why would Nick Fury put it all in one vial? You'd think you'd want it for
I don't
humans to be different, but Nick Fury has it all in one bottle. And then when they put that in
know.
the machine just deciphered all the
Yeah.
DNA. Like it read it like it read it so silly. It was like it's whatever. All the characters are like Spider Man, Captain Marvel, whatever, and it just wrote their like nicknames and shit. I was
Hmm.
like, what? I was like, why is it just showing everybody's name? And it says Drax. I'm like, it
That's
doesn't say like
the
the
nicknames thing is a good point. But
yeah
like I said the last time, we live in a world where there's technology that blends your face to look like somebody else's,
yeah
and there's talking raccoons and shit like that. So
yeah
when they say here's a vial of everybody's DNA in one bottle, combined in one bottle, I'm like, okay. It's like I
yeah.
just I just suspend my disbelief there.
And then someone also wrote, like Hulk got his powers due to gamma radiation, yet Skrulls are immune to it, so it shouldn't really have an effect on them. And I was like, well, that also makes sense. And then it was like what I said last time. Remember I said about Carol? I was like, Carol absorbed an Infinity Stone explosion. How is that energy transferred in just DNA?
Yeah,
So
well, I
like
mean,
there
I
was
have
just
questions about that in general,
yeah.
not just about the scrolls, but yeah.
So a lot of the DNA stuff was really annoyed, and it's also just because I thought this one was funny. Someone goes, "What exactly is Drax's power?" And someone wrote, "Being a dad."
Yeah.
um, I think though, the fight scene was weird. It was like it was okay. It was cool to see everyone's
Yeah,
powers.
I
I
thought it
guess
was fun. Yeah,
it was really short though. Like it was just like I was like, "Man, we're gonna wrap this up in like not even." I think it was
it
like
was
maybe five
short. Yeah,
minutes.
but I
Um,
think that's where like all the budget went in was that fight.
Yeah. Someone did say though they think that absorbing or taking someone's DNA through powers makes it not as strong. So like if you're gonna emulate Captain Marvel's powers, you're mostly just emulating the powers. So like Captain Marvel could probably still be
Sure,
more powerful.
compared to the original source.
Yeah, like so like
Here's the
how
thing though, Gaia not only has Captain Marvel's powers, she
right.
has literally everybody else's powers.
Right. Right.
So
And that still makes her more that still makes her stronger to other people, but like what I was like guess what I would say is like um trying to think of like a scenario, but like if Captain Marvel was versing Gaia
mhm.
and they're both in Captain Marvel would win and be able to beat her, but then Gaia would obviously have to use other powers to like counteract
Yeah.
that one.
Mhm.
So like if you had Groot versus Groot, like Groot could probably rip Gravik's Groot stuff apart or his arms apart, but then Gravik has all the other stuff to like help him out. But
Yeah.
that's kind of what I saw. I saw some people
Also,
arguing with that on Twitter, and I was like, all right.
Gravik's also a soldier and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there's probably that mindset and skill against Groot.
yeah.
But Groot in the last movie was badass, so I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I just meant like it was like it just means that their powers are like are
Right.
not as strong as once they transfer through DNA. There's she's still gonna be insanely powerful, which somebody nicknamed her the Mother of Powers now instead of the Mother of Dragons.
Mother Dragons, yeah.
Mother of Dragons, she's now the Mother of Powers. So I thought that was funny. Um,
Yeah, it seemed like a
so
very like anime style fight at the end, which I thought was kind of cool. Um, but yeah, one question I had while watching, and then I was like, I immediately uh thought of the answer afterwards. At one point, I think it
mhm,
was Gaia started using Ghost's ability, where she was like phasing through to
right,
try to reach Gravik. And I'm like, Ghost wasn't in Endgame. Where'd they get the power from? I'm like, oh wait, Ghost was a soldier for Shield. Shield would have obviously had her blood and
DNA or
DNA. Yeah.
something. Yeah,
So I'm
I
like,
didn't
that makes
see
sense.
I didn't see Ghost. What was the power that she was?
She
I
was
got to
just
watch it.
phasing through. I think Gravik was like firing stuff at her, like some sort of projectile or something, and then
Mhm,
Gaia was like phasing through it. And
mhm. I have to
it
rewatch
looked
it.
obviously like Ghost. It was
Yeah.
clearly a Ghost ability.
Um, Man, extremis formula A doesn't really help against shots straight to the chest. As soon as you get
Mm,
your whole chest blown out,
yep.
extremis does not know how to recover your chest.
It
Like
didn't
how that
in Iron Man
Iron
3
Man
either.
3,
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, that's what killed him, eh? But
Yeah.
I'm assuming that they don't just have all the powers all the time. They have to like bring those powers forward because I'm like, how did you pierce the Hulk's chest? Like it just like he had the Hulk powers for a bit and then she just blew a hole through his chest. Like could Captain Marvel blow a hole through the Hulk's chest? Like is that a thing that we
Probably
know or
not the Hulks.
yeah.
But I think like anybody else probably.
Yeah.
Um the I'm trying to see if I can quickly find it right now, but that imagery was taken straight from the Extremis comics. That's how Iron Man took out the villain in that story, which looked um very much like the guy he killed on the plane in that movie.
Yeah.
It was like that. It's like that exact character, but not that exact character because they weren't really the same.
Yeah.
Um, I can't find it, but it's literally he blasts a hole through his chest, and that's how he kills him.
Hmm. Now, uh I don't know, do you have any other thoughts on the fight scene?
I'm watching the fight scene right now. I think the Frost Giant ability that they took was literally Gaia using the ice
The ice
thing.
blade?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so sorry, the Frost Beast, which we've never seen a Frost Beast do that, but we have seen a Frost Giant do that. So
Yeah.
I guess that's where that was from. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, the fight scene itself, I don't know. Like maybe I'll have to look back and then see like what exact like abilities that they use. But I thought the fight scene was fun. I thought that was a fun part of the episode. Um, I
It
liked
was different.
I liked the surprise that Nick Fury was in the hospital with um uh
That girl.
Sonya Fallsworth, who's
Oh,
I want
so
to say she's the best part of the show.
she is. Yeah, she's my favorite too. She's just awesome. I love
Yeah,
how like fear. She has no fear. Everything's just
yeah,
like, oh, you're gonna die because I have a gun pointed at the back of your skull.
yeah.
Like she's just like fun with her stuff. I'm like, Jesus, you're like the Mary Poppins of violence. Like it's weird. Like it's just like she's all like just I don't know. She's just like all fun and happy, but then like has a
Yeah.
gun. She's like, oh, I've already got that covered. Like she's so innocent though. It's so funny. Just like
Um,
innocently threatening.
I'm just realizing some other stuff, some bigger implications than the fight. Actually, the only thing I would say about the fight is, yeah, Marvel's now created the strongest character ever in the show. That I'm
Yeah.
excluding like celestial beings and like cosmic entities and stuff like that. But
Right.
like when you're looking at just like regular standard um main
Yeah.
characters, like she's obviously the most powerful one now.
Hmm.
Um yeah, I would say two things about this episode that I think are worth noting and important discussion. One is we see Rhodey get he was in the Russia compound, which again I have to question. They're snatching up all these people all around the world
Yeah.
and taking them back to Russia.
I
Like
guess so.
they don't
Yeah.
have like scroll compounds everywhere. They can't to make it more
I
convenient.
I thought I remembered in that episode that there was other they were I thought I heard them say that they were going through all the other scroll compounds and relieving everybody. I thought I heard them say that, but maybe I was just thinking that because I
Yeah.
thought there was a different location. Um, like where's that first one take place where someone's chasing? Who's the
Yeah, yeah, Everett Ross. They were
who's
in
Bilbo?
yeah,
Bilbo. What's
yeah,
his name?
Everett Ross.
That's Ross? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, perfect.
Um,
Yeah,
they were. I think they were in London. Were they in
okay.
London? They were somewhere. I don't know. There's. I think they're in
That's what I
London.
thought. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, everybody we see was captured is was in that nuclear place in
It
Russia.
it is weird. So
Yeah,
does that mean like all those people are just like subject to radiation poisoning now though?
that's what I'm wondering. Like
Yeah, I'm like those are just like
they've
you guys
been
are
there
gonna
for
have
a long
radiation
time,
sickness. Yeah.
and the other thing is when when she went there to like free them, where were all the other scrolls? Weren't wasn't the thing that even when Fury went there? there was the two guards at the gate,
Yeah.
and then no other Skrulls. It
Yeah.
was just it was just the humans that were captured in the basement.
Yeah.
And then everybody else left. Wasn't the whole
Yes.
thing was that they were they were using the Skrulls as a like a contingency plan or
Yeah,
something?
it's like a sacrifice. Yeah, they don't work
Yeah.
Saturdays. Everybody went home. Everybody went home. Nobody was even watching them in the prison. Nobody cared. It was weird. It wasn't. I think that's why it has such a low score on Rotten Tomatoes because it honestly like there were some cool parts to this show that I
Yeah.
enjoyed, but there was a lot of like just again it was like Thor Love and Thunder where there's just like
Which has
they
a
didn't
higher score than this.
yeah yeah this I think this is the lowest rated MCU
Yeah.
project in the
I would say that this
on there.
is better than Thor Love and Thunder. I saw a graphic that showed like the lowest rated Marvel stuff, and I'm
Yeah.
looking at it and I'm like, my rating is literally reverse of that.
Yeah.
I'm like Thor Love and Thunder was at the top, and I'm like that should be at the bottom, and I'm
Yeah.
like I'm like
I enjoyed
Secret
this more than Love and Thunder, but this
yeah.
still had a lot of holes in it that I just shaking my head at because even on Twitter, everyone said that
You mean
apparently
X?
Rhodey. What?
You mean
Oh,
X?
yeah, X. I mean X now. Yeah, as of last week. So everybody said that Rhodey has been
That's
a
what I was gonna bring
scroll
up. Yeah, go ahead.
since Civil War,
Yeah,
and that pisses me off,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
There are so many moments that would be
Where's everybody
ruined if it
getting
was
that though?
Rhodey.
I'm seeing every
I don't know
YouTuber say that too, and I'm like, I watched the entire series, and I'm like, it is very clear to me, and
that this isn't. Yeah, that this
that
isn't him.
this well, no, I'm like, this is he would have been taken sometime after Endgame and before the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Where's everybody getting that it was from Civil War?
I don't know. That pisses me off though, because
Yeah,
I
it
even if
makes
even
no
if
sense for
Marvel's
me.
yeah, even if Marvel says it's true, I'm not gonna believe it because I'm like, you didn't think far enough in advance to make Rhodey like seem different.
I don't think there's an
So
official like all they
yeah,
said was how long have you been here?
yeah,
And
it's been a
I
while.
think from before Falcon and Winter Soldier, that's still a long time, right?
I think so.
Um,
Yeah,
so I think placing it anytime before Endgame or like even at Endgame
yeah.
diminishes that character so much in his story arc.
I
And
think
it
so.
complicates and confuses things. I think it would be a huge mistake on Marvel's part if they swapped Rhodey at Civil War.
I think so
Um,
too.
and I don't know. For us, I mean, I think our logic is fine, right? Like uh, he was Rhodey throughout all of Endgame, right?
Yeah,
And it made sense his actions and everything.
yeah,
Um, and then after that, he just starts walking, no problem, without any sort of equipment. And we see
yeah.
him in Falcon and Winter Soldier. He's just there greeting
Is he in
Sam.
Falcon and Winter Soldier?
He
I don't even
was. He
remember
was
that.
in the first episode. It was a very brief cameo. He had a discussion
Hmm.
with Sam about giving up the shield at the museum,
Yeah.
and he was walking around, and he didn't really say anything that would have been like, "Oh, that's definitely Rhodey," or
So
"Oh,
you think
that's
that could?
definitely a Skrull." So I'm like
Yeah,
that.
that would be a good time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm like that's. I feel like that would have been Scrody right there.
yeah, for
Um.
sure.
So yeah, I don't get where everybody else is saying like I think they're just jumping to conclusions. I think
I think so too.
literally it's the same thing I see all the time. Like people just jump into oh, obviously the like the Netflix and ABC shows are not canon to the Marvel universe, even though that's how they were set up. And
Yeah,
there's nothing that indicates that they're not yet until Marvel
yeah.
says they are, or they um I don't know. There's been a few of those where it's just like the internet just like um just collectively agrees on something that's based off of nothing, and I don't know where they get this from.
I agree with you. I think it should be after like that last show. It should be anytime after Endgame.
Yeah,
Because before that, you're right. It like takes away from the character. Like there was like he literally went back in time to get the like to get the stone with Nebula, and he had that whole thing about like, hey, we work with what we got, right? Like he
yeah,
did the whole like had a moment with her.
yeah,
He had a moment with Carol Danvers after. Like there were so many moments with that. There was the fight in the Infinity War. He's flying around in Rhodey's thing and dropping bombs, and then when the snap happens and Sam gets disappeared, like Rhodey's walking around going, Sam, where are you? And
yeah,
like caring for people. So I'm like, Where is this where he just stops caring for people and then is just a dick to whatever for a while? So
Yeah.
I would make sense because how long ago was Falcon Winter Soldier? That's like 2 years ago, right? So
Yeah, I would say at least 2 years. Yeah,
yeah, so 2 years
in the
is a long
timeline.
time. Don't tell me he was out there for like what was 2016 was when I think Civil War came out, or 2015. Plus, so
Yeah.
that's 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 5 years from the snap. Like you're at like 10 years of Rhodey being there. That's too long. Also, do they feed those people? Because like,
I don't know.
is your body just
Uh,
like fine sitting in that thing? I have no idea. Like I don't know. It's
was yeah, I was thinking about that recently with um Ant-Man in Endgame when he's been in the quantum realm for 5 hours. Although and I'm just now realizing he asked to eat um
yeah.
Black Widow sandwich. So I'm like,
Um,
wait, he wasn't eating for 5 hours. Like, what's he doing? Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think until Marvel says otherwise, for me, that he's been replaced since in between Endgame and Falcon Winter Soldier. It's the same thing with the Captain America argument. There's the directors say that he went to a different timeline to be with Peggy in
yeah,
Endgame, and then returned to the normal timeline
yeah.
somehow in Endgame. And the writers say that no, he existed in the same timeline and then waited at the bench. Uh,
That's what makes sense to me because it's
that
it's just
doesn't make sense
time.
to me because that conflicts with the whole rule of time travel that they set in that movie, and that makes no sense. And the directors are like, yeah, that doesn't make sense at all. And the writers are like, no, that's how we wrote it. And I'm like, I'm on the side that Captain America went to a different timeline.
No, see, for me, I don't see it as a different time. I don't see it as a different like. There's different.
There's so many reasons why that doesn't make sense to me.
But to me, there's a different timeline, and
Yeah.
then there's a different points in time. So to me, it's like it's we're only looking at one line.
Yes, but
Captain
when
America. Captain America went back through that same line,
okay,
and then instead of taking the quick jump right back to time in like 10 seconds, he just rewrote out
that was all but
that
everything's
clip.
been programmed for him. Hey, you need to go and return these items back to their original points of time that we set through this time travel
Yeah,
device. And then he goes back. The last thing he does is bring the um well, I guess they wouldn't bring the pin particles back, but they would bring the Tesseract back to the army base where they took
yeah.
it from back then. That's where Peggy is, and that's where he lives a life with Peggy. That would have been an
Yeah.
alternate timeline.
Doesn't have
That
to be.
would be
Why is that? Why does that have to be an alternate timeline?
because that's the way that they said everything in the movie and in Loki. That's how everything works is time travel in the MCU.
I think that was just so that like the branches don't whatever. So technically, as long
Yeah,
as he
but
went back
he
in
would
time
have
and put everything back
he
in the
would have
right
created a
spot,
branch. Like this was before the explanation of Loki.
that's okay. Maybe the TVA like cleaned up his timelines without
That's
him.
what I'm
He's just
saying.
like
So
a
so I think I brought up this point several times though, but for me,
yeah,
I consider the phase 4, phase 5 and in even Endgame of the MCU
yeah,
um an alternate MCU. This is not the original MCU. We're looking at
no,
MCU B. There was the singular timeline that was referenced in Loki, right?
yeah,
Like the timekeepers or just he who remains kept
yeah,
one single timeline. If there's any deviation from that, the TVA steps in and stops it.
yeah,
But he who remains created a path where
yeah,
Loki would get the Tesseract when in the events of Endgame. So in that one moment, that would
yeah.
lead him and Sylvie to the point where they reach He Who Remains and splits off the timeline. That for me makes sense as to why Captain America is still around as an old man at the end of Endgame and why we're seeing so many multiverse stuff right now. Because if it wasn't for that, if there was still a single timeline, Captain America would not be old in Endgame. He would have returned back as the regular Captain America, and we wouldn't have seen Multiverse of Madness because
Hmm.
there was no multiverse to to create any like different timelines or anything, we wouldn't have seen Spider-Man Far From Home because there wouldn't have been enemies in alternate dimensions that know who he is. It would have
Yeah.
just been him, right? The spell would have just not
There,
worked. So
yeah, the only way I see it is like just not it's not branches yet because like the ancient one said that if you don't put everything back, that will
yeah,
create branches and then that reality will be shattered. So as long as he goes in the machine, he's not going into
but
a different he's
him
not going into a different timeline. He's just going into a different part in time. That's
yeah,
all
but
they were going.
if
They were
he
just
stays in that point of time,
yeah.
he already changes the timeline
But
because
we
he
they said
wasn't
that
supposed to be there. Peggy
yeah, but they said that
married and
doesn't
had
matter. They said
children.
that stuff doesn't matter. Like going back, they said like whatever you do now doesn't affect the present and past and future. And then
Yeah,
like Hulk says
because
like that.
again, it's like we're going a longer debate on time travel here. Again, so Endgame had their own established time travel rules. This was before Loki,
Yeah.
and then Loki establishes their own time travel rules, because the characters in Endgame understood time differently than the multiverse in Loki.
Yeah.
Um, so yes, Loki establishes that if you if you create a branch, if things change and something branches out,
Yeah.
then it creates another timeline. But
But
if
yeah, it's only if the he who remains wants it to happen. Because remember, he's like, I write everything, so he's like, I only clean up branches that
yep,
I need to clean up.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he's like, I don't give. So
But I'm
if
saying like Endgame was supposed to happen because they said in Loki that's what the Avengers were supposed to do.
right,
But Loki picking up the Tesseract in Endgame was
yeah,
not what was supposed to happen.
right.
So
So
that was He Who Remains, um,
that's why
alternate.
yeah, that's why I think Loki's in his own. I think Loki's in his own branch. That's all
Yeah,
like broken. He's shattered everything. I
yeah,
still think everything from Endgame makes sense. Even like Captain America living out his life. Like maybe that's just how He Who Remains wrote it. And was like this is the end of how Captain America's gonna do. And it's still one thing. All the time
but
stones are put back.
that conflicts with what the timeline that already existed in the MCU
Yeah,
because Captain America was not around. Peggy moved on, married and had children with somebody else. Wait, did she have children?
I would just say that timeline's rewritten. Like I don't think it's like there's multiple people in it.
That rewriting
Yeah,
the timeline
I
again,
don't know.
that goes against the science of the MCU. I don't know. For
There is no
me,
real science to the
yeah,
MCU. They just kind of make their own. I just in my to make it less confusing. I'm
yeah,
like, this is just one timeline, and it all makes sense to me. And then when you got all your branches of Doctor Strange and Loki shit, I'm like, those are all being like, those are just chaotic. And I'm like, I need to organize it as like, at least I know
but
my line with
they
Quantumania and
wouldn't
stuff. But
exist without if there was a single timeline.
what do you mean?
They wouldn't. So there would be no multiverse in a single timeline. So No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness,
Yeah.
all that stuff wouldn't exist in the MCU as we're seeing it right now if we were still in He Who Remains single timeline.
Right, I understand that we're still
Yeah,
like from Endgame. I still think we're in our timeline, but there
yeah,
are like now there's branches happening. Like from, uh, we have Spider Man's thing that
yeah.
inflicted with multiverse, but that's all after Endgame. So I see it as one line, and then after Endgame, I see like the branches are now like spreading off from ours, and it's being
Right,
intertangled going forward. But everything from the
right.
past, I think, is still fine. But forward after Endgame, I was like, it's a fucking mess. I was like, don't. I was like,
But
look at
it's
the
yeah, yeah.
last part of the homework. Don't look at the
No, no.
beginning,
I'm
the
I'm
end.
saying like it's so now there's a so before Loki there was a
Hmm.
single timeline. So there's everything that we watched up to Endgame was the same, and then
Yeah,
after Endgame, I think there was a different MCU on a single timeline, and now we're seeing the MCU as it exists within the multiverse.
yeah.
But within the multiverse, there's also the Sony universe, there's the Fox universe, there's like a whole bunch of other universes that didn't exist until Loki happened. And now they exist. There's like a whole bunch of so there is still branches aside from the um uh what's Infinity Saga, that's what the name is. The
Yeah.
Infinity Saga, There's still other branches within the Infinity Saga that are happening. Obviously, we have What If. What If showed us those different timelines and everything. But before Loki and after Loki, there's the MCU, the one timeline that makes up the MCU, what has been the same from Iron Man to Endgame,
Right.
and now there's after Endgame, the one that we will never see as a single timeline, like that exists in a single timeline, and now there's the current one that we are seeing, Phase 4, Phase 5, that exists as part of the multiverse. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Like I don't think the past isn't messed up at all, but like now, like I would just say it looks like it's like a tree. It's like a tree. So like the beginning is like where Iron Man 1 is, and it goes up, and then once you hit to Endgame, then it just starts branching off,
When
and
we're
it's now
talking about
spreading out.
when we're talking about the MCU.
Yeah.
But like
now
then there's like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man universe. That is its own separate branch at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, and now they're all it's basically two trees that are now growing, and they're now
Several
like
trees.
their branches are like joining, and now because like he separated us from everybody, but after uh female Loki, I always forget her name,
Sylvie. Yeah.
Sylvie, after she killed him, like she broke that barrier that he created to keep us away, and now we're just our branches are gonna go loose, and the TVA, like from what it looks like in season 2 of Loki, looks like a mess. Like there's just
we'll get
branches
into that.
going
There's
everywhere.
a couple other things I want to talk about in Secret Invasion, but yes, we'll talk about Loki next.
But where else were we in?
So we're on two different sides on how Cap became
I
old
still
Cap. Okay.
Yeah, I still think
You side with the writers.
Yeah, I still think that he waited it out because he put all the time stones back, so he clipped all the branches like the Ancient One said, and then he just waited the time. Because I think waiting the time is still the same amount of time as them just pressing the button and then skipping him at the time. It's like I feel like instead of shooting him straight to this
Where'd he get the other shield?
He just waited it out. What? He's just going back in the past and got a shield from a different timeline, from the same timeline, but before it was destroyed. Yeah, I just feel like there's just multiple things of everything.
And that
like,
doesn't make sense, man, because there would have been one shield. There would have been one shield. He didn't take another shield. That's a paradox.
But his shield was broken in the future.
In Endgame, yes.
Yeah, in Endgame. So he could just left
but
it
he
there,
went to the
but once he was
past.
back,
There's only one shield. He didn't take another shield to the past. There was one shield in the past that was designated to Captain America, and that would have been frozen in ice at the time that he went back. And then it would have been given to regular Steve Rogers that would have been unfrozen in Avengers.
Maybe he went back.
That's what I'm saying. It makes more sense to me to have a split timeline.
Because Gamora, so we had Gamora in the future die, and we had past Gamora come forward and live.
That's a different situation though.
Right. The way I see it, maybe Captain went back, put everything back where he needed to put it, but because he had extra Pym particles, maybe he just put himself went to the past, like in the war. I don't know. Maybe he killed his frozen body and he pulled the fucking shield out from there and then just pretended he was dead, but then just lived secretly with Peggy. Maybe he lived on the side with Peggy, and then like Cap was still doing all of his normal life. Cap could have lived his whole life.
Yeah.
You know, there could have been a Cap where he was fighting
but him
maybe he lives by a different alias now, you know? Maybe he was like what do you call it?
Nomad.
I forget what I thought. Yeah, like he was living with Peggy and he's like, "Look, this is what I'm going to explain to you what's happening."
That's what I'm saying. Yes, but that doesn't explain the shield. There's a second shield.
Maybe he went back and had I don't know.
Sam Wilson's shield is not the same one that Cap had fighting Thanos. Thanos destroyed the original shield. He got that shield from somewhere, which yes, it was from the past.
Yeah.
But it would have been like, for me, the only way it makes sense is it's from a different past.
Maybe he went to a different past and took it. I have no idea, but my theory is like whatever point in the timeline, he just maybe took it from Cap, because then that doesn't matter, because anything he does in the past doesn't affect the future, because they said that doesn't matter what you do in the past.
Affects their original future.
I
But
don't
that
whatever. It didn't make sense the way Hulk was explaining it. He was basically like,
it
no,
made
like
perfect sense
it,
to me.
it doesn't matter when you whatever you take, it won't ruin
I
your
what
new future won't ruin the past or whatever.
I obsess with time travel in fiction.
Yeah.
And every time I mean the MCU is not infallible in this.
Yeah.
You watch Miss Marvel and my like my brain melts. But um when it comes to um when it comes to Hulk's explanation of how time travel works in Endgame, I thought they did a pretty solid job and understanding it and making it make sense
Yeah.
until the point where Cap's sitting on the bench. And I'm like, I'll overlook that because everything else was fine. Then Loki came around, they explained the branched timelines, and I'm like, oh, and Loki was not supposed to pick up the Tesseract until He Who Remains made it so.
Yeah.
So in my mind, yeah, that Cap existed in an alternate timeline that happened after the events of Loki season 1, because that's the only way that it makes sense to me. But if that's fine because the writers disagree. You're on the side of the writers. I'm on the side of the directors. There's a huge debate on that.
So the directors think what? That it's a different time.
Yeah,
It's a different
that he
thing.
lived in a different timeline with Peggy.
Because the way that he's sitting on the bench, that happened like today, right? So it happened. So like we had Endgame. They just
Mm-hmm.
did the snap. They
Yep.
just killed Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
Then let's say it's the next day, or let's say it's whatever. It's a couple minutes later. I don't know. They obviously had to take some time because they just built
Yep.
that thing.
Yep.
So if Cap went back in the past, and so now there's two Caps in the past, let's say, okay?
Yep.
And let's say that Cap was like he lived his life with Peggy, but was still simultaneously tracking the original shield all the way through. What if he just took it and then held onto it for 2 days after Endgame or whatever? Wouldn't he just now have a shield, like a new shield? It would still be the original because that one wasn't taken. Because there's always going to be like it doesn't matter what year you go to, the
No,
shield's in
no,
so
but
many years. So
yeah, but that shield had a journey. It was in the original Captain America movie. Went
but
all the
that's
way
so
up to
this right, but this is an object. Wouldn't the same thing apply to Gamora then? If you take Gamora from the past and then shoot her right to the future, that means the
yeah,
whole
but
Guardians,
that's the
both
same
of the
thing. So Gamora being a shield was
yeah,
destroyed in the Soul Stone.
yeah,
So the shield Gamora died. If we're calling Gamora a shield now to
right,
equate the two, yes, the original Gamora shield died, and then a new one from a past came back.
right.
So, but that Gamora came from a different timeline. The same with the new shield that Cap brought back.
I think it's just I think you're looking at timelines differently. I don't think it's a timeline. I think it's like we're just looking at one timeline, like one singular timeline. So it's
When
just
they
a
go
different
back to
time.
the past, things
Yeah,
change and it doesn't affect their original future. So when they go back to the past,
yeah.
it's not their past. It's another past. They're living in a new future within the past. So just by them going back to the past in Endgame, we're forgetting
Yeah.
about Loki. Them going back
So
to the past as they're establishing is a
yeah,
different timeline than their timeline. They're not changing things from their past. They're changing things in a new past.
I guess, but I just the way I saw it was like I love like when the ancient one says if you take
Yeah.
the stones
Yeah.
when you
And
take them out
she
they
says
make branches.
yeah, she says you're branching out my timeline,
Right, I
which was
understand that,
different from
but
their original timeline.
that's because soul stones make up a timeline. I think that's because they're powerful. I think if you just take like his shield, if you just take that out of the past, I don't think it affects any like it doesn't affect anything because all that stuff had already happened. So even if Cap went into the past and like took the shield from what's it called? If he takes it from I don't know, Civil War. Let's say he went back, put everything back, and he just decided he's like, "Hey, I'm going to show up," and he takes Cap's shield from Civil War and then teleports back to the past and just has it. I don't think it fucks up anything in the timeline
No,
because they
it
they're
doesn't fuck
still in
up
the
things
first.
in the original timeline,
Yeah,
but the original timeline still had the one shield that had his journey. So him
yeah.
taking a shield from the past means that it's from a different past, which means if he had the shield, he would have went to a different past and brought the shield back.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it that way. I only see branches and different timelines happening if you take
Yeah.
soul stones because they make up a timeline. I think
It's not the
objects don't
soul
matter.
stones. It's any that's what
I mean, the
it's
Infinity
any
Stones, yeah.
event. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think an object has that much of a significance on a past for them to
It
take
does,
it
man. Because
whenever.
now I can bring up the stupid key theory in time travel, where if you reach a gate, you reach a locked gate, you need a key to enter. A
Hmm.
version of you from the future comes visits you and says, "Hey, you need this key to continue. So
Yeah.
here, take this key from the future. You need to use this, and then make sure to come back here and then give that future key to the past version of yourself, so that way you can
Yeah.
continue through the gate." Right? Where did that original key come from? Where did it originate from? Who knows? But if you're passing that same key down through the past
Hmm.
without having it, and it's the same one key, you're not getting it from anywhere else, that key ends up getting old, deteriorating, breaking, and at some point you shouldn't be able to continue unlocking that door at that point. So an
Mm.
object has very much important consequences when it comes
So
to
you're
time
saying there's a
travel in the
cap in the
timeline.
past that just doesn't have a shield anymore, and he's
And
just
not the MCU's past, in a different timeline past.
a
Yes.
different timeline path? Well, I don't know. Now that Sylvie killed that guy, maybe I think it's true. Maybe there is like branches happening because even
There is, yeah.
so. Do you think by him bringing Thor's hammer back to the exact same spot that didn't fuck up anything that happened with Thor and his fight between the things in Thor
So
2?
according to Hulk and the Ancient One and everything,
Yeah.
him doing that should have resolved any branches.
Yeah.
In my mind, like looking at how they obtained it, just the just the fact that they went back in time to
Hmm.
grab those items and then bring them back, I think creates multiple timelines each time. So him going, first of all, Thor taking that hammer, like going back and taking that hammer,
Yeah.
created a branch. Captain America bringing that hammer back created another branch.
So
So
then the T
that timeline has like three branches: the MCU timeline,
right,
the Thor taking the hammer timeline, and the Captain America bringing the hammer back timeline.
which would have which because Sylvie hadn't killed what's his name yet,
If
that would have just activated the TVA and
Yeah,
they would have had to go and clean it up. So
yeah,
the ancient one probably doesn't know about the TVA
no,
and realizing that we're in our own thing.
no,
So even if it did create branches in the past originally, the
yeah,
TVA cleaned that shit up.
yeah.
So it's still all cleaned up.
No,
There's a cap.
originally, yes, originally
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like if Cap went back and said, "Okay, I'm bringing this thing back," the
Yeah.
TVA would have been like, and he would be like, "Hey, I'm staying here." The TVA would have been like, either, "Hey, you're not supposed to do that. We're going to arrest you like we did Loki,"
Yeah.
and because that's their job, or the He Who Remains would have been like, "No, he's fine. Make sure he gets sent back," and then then Ravonna would have been like, okay, He Who Remains dictated that you did what you're supposed to do. You're
Yeah.
not supposed to stay in the past. We're going to bring you back to your original timeline. And then he returns back as regular aged Cap. But
Right.
because Sylvie killed He Who Remains, now we're seeing our current MCU where Cap is now, he did stay back. The TVA was like, yeah, stay back. The guy in charge, not He Who Remains, some other Kang variant,
Yeah.
has determined, yeah, you can stay in your own timeline. We're creating a bunch of timelines. It's madness now. It's a
Yeah.
multiverse of madness. So Cap stays in his original timeline, and he's like, I still have this pin particle that I was supposed to use to return back. I lived my life. I'm old now. I'm happy. There needs to be another Captain America. Let me use the pin particle to go back to the point that I was supposed to and give the
Yeah.
shield to Sam.
Yeah. You didn't. uh so hang on though. I also have a question
Okay.
because when we see Loki,
We'll get back to
he
Secret Invasion at some point.
yeah, Loki steals
Yeah.
the Tesseract and teleports with it in Endgame in 2012.
Yes.
So then we follow Loki's journey during that time. Does that mean he kills him during 2012? Or when they grab him from the TVA, grab him and pull him? Do they pull him into the future? And because they show him all the events that happened, right? They show him, here's all your whole life with Odin dying, and they show him all that.
I-
So does that mean they pull him into the, like, they're behind this? They're basically like behind the scenes of time. They live like outside of time in the TVA, right?
So that's it.
They,
So it's a little bit confusing because they say that they're outside of time, but it
Yeah.
feels like the TVA has their own timeline.
Mhm.
Just from watching the show, I'm like, and it seems like they do exist within time, but they don't realize it.
Yeah.
But Loki had a great question that kind of sums it up, where he's like, "We're from the future. Is the TVA from the future? It feels like it's the future. We don't know." So, what's the question exactly? So they take him from 2012. What's your
Yeah.
question?
I'm wondering, does that mean when they, because then we followed the events of Loki in 2012. So now I'm
Well,
wondering,
he was grabbed from 2012.
That's what, yeah, he was grabbed from 2012.
Yeah.
So they must bring him somewhere because they already show all the events of Endgame and his death. They show, or
They
at least
grab
Infinity
him.
War.
They grab him from the point where there's a single timeline,
Yeah,
and then they destroy that branch timeline that he was creating by picking up that
right.
but the
Yeah, they
Tesseract.
erase it. Yeah, because they drop like a thing on the ground and then they teleport away and then
Yeah.
that just like it like explodes or something. I
Yeah.
forget. So that means he definitely He definitely kills the dude after the events of Endgame. Then it definitely didn't happen.
Well, the Endgame's a
in
different. Endgame's part of the timeline, right?
Right,
So
right. I'm just
when they kill
wondering.
the dude, it's after everything in the timeline, and it's in a citadel at the end
Okay.
of time or outside of time, however they want to explain it.
Yeah. So I basically the way I see it is like here's the timeline.
Yeah.
Here's the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Loki takes a branch from way back here in 2012.
Yeah.
They take Loki, they
Yeah.
destroy that branch. Loki is just over here now.
He's over wherever the TVA is. Yeah.
Wherever the TVA is, outside of time or in
Yeah.
their own separate time, whatever.
Yeah.
So
So
here's the
all of
timeline.
time has already happened, or
Yeah,
is
'cause they-
currently happening.
Yeah, because they show Loki all the
Yeah.
events that have
Past,
happened
past and
through.
future is all
Yeah.
existing at once. Yeah.
They show him all of his memories from that haven't even happened yet to that Loki.
No, it has happened.
It has happened
because
but
there's a single
2012
timeline.
Loki.
Yeah,
Right. But
they're showing him.
2012.
They're showing him what his timeline is supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what they're showing him. So the only thing that makes sense to me is like when Cap goes back and he grabs a different shield or he lives his life throughout, it has no effect in that original timeline. Like I know it's a different
in the
shield
original
or whatever.
timeline. Yeah.
In the original timeline, it has no effect. It doesn't
Yeah.
change their future, even
But
if it changes somebody else's future.
if
the TVA just cleans it up.
if he goes back to, but if you're saying that he's been sitting there that entire time, that implicates that
He's probably just sitting there for a day.
he has been living there in the original timeline, which means that if he has a shield, he got that shield from the original timeline. But that's a paradox because that means that there's two shields. There's a shield that's in ice that would have happened and they existing in the same timeline, and then he grabbed a shield from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Where would he have grabbed the shield if it wasn't in another timeline?
But he lived. So let's just say he lived through that whole life, right? So let's say he lived right under the nose of actual Captain America. You got Captain America. He's wanted by the police with Civil War,
He's
all
laying
that stuff.
low. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's just living with Peggy,
which would have been different from the original MCU timeline already, but yeah.
Why would it be different? We don't really see Peggy the whole time.
We've been her backstory has been established through
but we didn't know who her husband was, so
like
maybe her husband was him the whole time.
She said him making this. Okay, so however you want to interpret it, she said that him making the sacrifice led to her meeting her husband. She got married with somebody else. So maybe you want to interpret that as she was being coy and she actually met Captain America again. But I also think that her having dementia and saying, "Steve, you're alive, it's been so long," kind of also negates that.
I don't know, because it's just I don't know. There's just unfortunately there's just holes that are just gonna be there, and we have to deal with it.
I think everything has been explained for my theory, except for how we got to the bench when he returns back. For my theory, but that's just a minimal thing.
My thing is basically he just sat there the whole time and he lived his life, or I don't know. All we really see is him.
Mm-hmm.
He gets married and he says, "Do you want to talk about it?" He says no, but
Yeah.
he has that dance with Peggy.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't live his life with Peggy. Maybe he had that
Oh,
dance with Peggy before, and then he got married to somebody else. Like we don't know.
that's
Like
true.
it's all up for whatever. So he
Could
could
be.
have lived his life secretly under a different alias, but then but just the whole time was like, I gotta be in 2023. I gotta be on that
I think a
bench
lot of
because like
fans would be
I got
pissed off if that was the case.
yeah, but we didn't. But he didn't talk about it, so I guess we'll
Yeah,
never know. But it's up. I guess that's open. Whether you want to be on the
it
director
is.
side or
Yeah,
writer
yeah.
side, there's still only going to be like there's basically two things. Whether it's one timeline or it's two different points in time. There's still two things. But now with the multiverse of madness, everything is going to be entangled from here on out. So
Well, there's
I
also
don't.
the debate of whether Secret Wars is going to just reboot everything. So all of this discussion that we're having is just
Yeah.
pointless because like everything could just be reset in the MCU, and then everything that we're talking about doesn't matter at that point.
I hope they explain everything eventually. Like I would like a heads up with some stuff.
I
I
don't
would
know if it
also
needs
like
to because there's also points in narrative where it's intended to be up to the viewer's interpretation. So us having this debate, I think,
yeah.
is very much intentional. It could go
Now,
either way.
do you think, well, just like between the stuff that is in nice order and the stuff that is now messy and like branched out,
Yeah.
do you think either Deadpool, if Deadpool does interact with the MCU, do you think Deadpool or season 2 of Loki will have the TVA fix everything and we'll be on our singular timeline
No.
again, or do you think we're just gonna be in the multiverse for the rest of like I don't
The
know,
rest of
like
the saga, the multiverse saga.
so like three, so like probably so we're on the what? We're on phase
We're
5.
on phase 6. No, phase 5. Yes, phase
Yeah,
5.
phase
Yep.
5. So you think 4, 5, and 6 is all gonna be multiverse craziness?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
We
So in
will
this
we will
multiverse
be
saga,
back to a single timeline. I'm assuming, again, I'm always wrong.
yeah, in phase
So
7
I'm assuming that we'll be back to a single timeline after Secret Wars.
for Secret Wars. So that's gonna be in phase 6.
Yeah,
Boy, that's a why. That's gonna be a long time.
not really. Well, yeah, maybe because everything kind of is getting delayed right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, there's a lot of
That's
strikes happening.
like what is it? It's 2023. That's probably gonna be like 2028 by the time we're probably done.
If
Like,
things keep going the way they're going, yeah, maybe.
yeah, like it's gonna be quite a years. Like how long? That was like 10 years of Thanos. So we'll probably
Mhm.
do like another
No, I
probably
think I think the multiverse saga is gonna wrap up quicker than the Infinity Saga.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so because it is confusing as shit. I'm gonna be like 80 years old and I'm like, ah, trying to explain this to my kids. I'm gonna be like, yeah, it's crazy. Just watch till Endgame and give up.
let's go back to Secret Invasion. Wrap up
Yeah,
our
that's
Secret
right.
Invasion topics. Um, two things. I already forget what the first thing I was talking about is. But the second thing I wanted to bring up was at the end there was like all those
Yeah,
people laying in the beds,
yeah.
and I honestly don't have any answers. Do you have any ideas?
Wait, laying in what beds? Oh,
So
all those
yeah,
different beds. See,
yeah,
that's what I thought was the different scroll facilities. That's what I thought those were. I thought
okay,
those were different. I
that's a
thought those were
different
different.
place where they were keeping them.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. I have to watch it again because like
Okay,
Jess hasn't watched the last 2 episodes, so I'm gonna watch it again, and
right, yeah, yeah.
maybe next time when we talk about whatever, we'll fill it in. But I was under the assumption that they were like liberating the other scroll facilities throughout. Um,
Okay. Like
maybe it
even
was just
even
maybe it was just
Gaia was
Russia.
surprised
Yeah,
when she found it.
yeah. I forget where they were. Were they in America then, or were they still in Russia? Because I maybe it was just
I'm
different
on the
bases
scene right
throughout.
now where Fallsworth is talking with Gaia after tailing her. I wonder if it
Yeah.
says where they are. Well, let me see.
Yeah,
Um,
I was under the assumption that they're liberating, whether it's in different locations of yeah, whatever, Earth
it doesn't
or
say, but
whatever.
she
But
would be in Russia because she just finished fighting Gravik,
yeah,
right?
so maybe it was just different power plants that had radiation zones that she didn't know was bigger than she thought. That was my assumption. But at least we see there's a whole bunch of officials that are been out of it and taken over for a while, and we mostly see who's Ross and
And Rhodey.
Colonel Rhodey.
Yeah.
So they've been out for a while. What I did see before we got onto
Yeah, this got sidetracked.
the
Yeah.
travel, yeah, that a lot of people said that the Civil War thing theory was because after his injury in Civil War, he was in a hospital gown,
I
and
did hear that.
because he was in a hospital gown in the bed. But people were like, there could have been so many other reasons why he was in a hospital gown.
It's such a
So
loose thread to like base
yeah,
everything off of. He's wearing a hospital gown.
yeah.
Okay.
Maybe like my theory, like I was like, because you know how he had those implants in his legs that like Tony made to
Yeah.
like maybe they weren't. I thought they were just like braces around his legs. Maybe they are like drilled into his bones so that they work, so that he can work his spine. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
maybe
I don't know about that, but
I don't know about that either, but maybe they did some sort of surgery or something to take that all off of him,
yeah.
and then when they were done,
Or
they just put him in a fucking hospital gown.
yeah.
Like I don't know.
Or
Like I have
he's already disabled, right?
yeah.
Um and he was in a war with aliens.
Yeah.
I'm sure he needed to go to the hospital.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, sure, exactly. There you go. That's easy. Like everyone's like, he's in a hospital gown in Civil War, so he
Oh
was a
my
hospital gown. That's
yeah.
why he was a. I was like, that was people's like big thing because I
Yeah.
saved a bunch of people's like dumb ideas on Twitter because like someone that was like dumbest, and then someone I hate when people say confirmed with no fucking
All
like
the time.
all the time they do that. They're
All the
like,
time.
oh, it's
The
confirmed. Like this
yeah,
guy here.
the big like culprits of that are like we got this covered and the direct and all those other like clickbait
Yeah.
websites.
This bothered me because I liked it so that I could see it again on Twitter, but someone said confirmed Rhodey was Skrull since Civil War. He got no idea about Infinity War, the Endgame battle, Tony death, and everything. This story will continue in Armor Wars. And I'm like, you're just making
Oh,
shit up.
no, so
Like I
yeah,
hate that.
those are stay away from those blue check verified Marvel accounts.
Yeah. No, this one's
they're
called
all bullshit.
CDM scene. It's called the
Yeah.
MC
Yeah, it's all
MCU
fake.
scene. No, I understand that, but like a lot, it had like a bunch of likes and stuff, and that's
Yeah,
why.
people fall
And
for it. I'm like, you're crazy.
it's
And there's so
crazy.
many replies saying like, source, trust me, bro. There's so many
Yeah.
replies that say that, and everybody just ignores it.
Yeah, I unliked it. I only
Yeah.
liked it so that I had it there, but I was
Yeah.
mostly because
Mhm.
I saw that Rhodey was trending, so
Yeah.
I clicked on it, and everyone was like, "Confirmed, confirmed, confirmed." Like, fucking when? And I was like,
Okay.
"When?"
Spawn Trap's confirming it.
Yeah,
Our
confirming.
our confirmation is that that is bullshit.
Yeah,
Don't listen to anybody else. There is
yeah.
no confirmation.
Even if the MCU or the directors of this are like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
it's confirmed. It's been since Civil War." I'm like, you didn't think that far ahead to
Yeah.
change Rhodey's attitude then,
Yeah.
so I'm not believing it now. I'm like, you're not gonna tell
Yeah.
me that
Exactly.
even though they
Show
have
us
all
it on
the
screen, and then we'll
yeah.
believe you.
Because they adopt everybody's like memories and I'm
Yeah.
assuming like their feelings,
Yep.
but I think it would take so much away from Rhodey himself that I'd be like,
Absolutely.
I'd be like, I don't give a shit about Armor Wars then if
Yeah.
it just because like why do I want to watch Rhodey? I haven't even seen him in 10 years, so I
Yeah.
was like,
Exactly.
why would I care now? So
Why does he
he
look like
can't.
Terrence Howard now?
Yeah, so yeah, so I can't. I don't care. Like I won't. It won't be. It wouldn't be him for me. So
Yeah. The other thing, I don't know if this was the original thing I was going to bring up. The other thing was his whole conversation with the president. The president's like, because the goal was for him to go on the news and say, "There's Skrulls among us. We need to work together and have them live on this planet and coexist." The
yeah,
president went the complete opposite of that and went complete fear mongering and xenophobia.
yeah,
And he's like, "Hey, we're gonna find every single Skrull and kill them. And everybody take up in arms, be afraid of these aliens, shoot everybody." And then we see that play out at the end of the scene. So they're taking out the Tucker Carlson parody news anchor. They just show up in the news station and just gun him down. And he reveals that he's a Skrull. And then there's the one other world official. I can't remember who it was. She's having a press conference after being
oh yeah,
released from the compound, and they gun her down, and it shows that she wasn't a Skrull. That was actually the real person. So like everybody's just getting caught in the crossfire of all this
yeah.
mayhem based on what the president said. Um, and Nick Fury just says that's real one-term president shit. So that's kind of implicating that that's the reason why he's going to lose his election and be replaced um, by Thaddeus Ross or Harrison Ford.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that now. Like once they did that, I was like, oh, she's gonna be impeached for sure because he's
Hmm.
not gonna be president for long.
Yeah.
So that was I liked that. Um, that was crazy though. That was like I was like, man, they like
Yeah.
kind of almost started like a not really a world war, but they started like a panic
Yeah.
throughout like the world. So like people are
Yeah.
just shooting each other, and I'm like, I was
Very
like,
much what
Jesus,
we see in the real world today.
yeah. It was crazy that that woman got shot in the head, and I was like, she's not gonna turn, is she? And then
Yeah.
she didn't. I was like, oh god. I was like, that guy is gonna feel really bad,
Yeah.
maybe, or he's just psychopath.
I don't
But
know if they'll
either way,
touch on this any further in the MCU. Maybe they'll make like one remark about it in Captain America to explain why Harrison Ford's president.
yeah.
But I think that's it. Um, what if we have no other thoughts on Secret Invasion? What I want to ask is,
Oh,
for the finale,
I will just say how it ends. It
yeah,
ends with Nick. Who is he talking to at the end? Was his wife?
yep.
Him and his wife go up in space, so that's probably where we'll
But
see
she
him
says
next in
she's coming
Marvels, right?
back,
Yeah, yeah. But
which
that's
is going to explain why she's not there in the Marvels, is because she's a one-off character. And then what the hell is the point of introducing her?
yeah, yeah. It was. I guess it was just to show that Nick likes aliens. I guess
Mm-hmm.
Nick is.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of just to show a little bit of his life. I guess it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was something. It was there. So she was a cool character. Like I didn't hate her, but she wasn't like
Yeah.
amazing either. So I could see like I don't like we don't need to see her
Well,
again. It's
yeah.
fine.
Well, that's a good transition to what I mean. What did you think about the series overall?
You know, I think I liked the idea of it. I just don't know if it was executed as well as I
Yeah.
was hoping. Like I think there was a lot of cool stuff that like this could have been a cool story. I just feel
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like it was too rushed. Like I almost feel like it would have been a better movie. Like just make the
Yeah.
movie like
I can't
really
remember
quick.
if it was intended to be a movie or not, but uh, like knowing the comics, I'm like, this is
Yeah.
going to be a really cool show. They're going to be doing some cool stuff with this. It's a very awesome
Yeah.
concept, and it's nothing like the comics, and
Just kind of fell
it's
flat.
such
That's
a
what it felt
letdown.
like.
Like Civil War was nothing like the comics, but the core concept was there. I mean, this show kind of had the core concept of the comics as well, but
Yeah.
the core concept was there. They flipped it to make sense for the MCU, and Civil War was amazing. Like both the comics and
I
the
love Civil
movie,
War.
completely different, but they're both great.
Yeah.
This, just compared to the comics, is such a letdown. The comics are so much better. Just read the
Yeah.
comics. But yeah, I'd say this wasn't a bad show. I don't I don't know if it deserves the rating on Rotten Tomatoes that it does have.
Yeah. I would just say like the ending is like but there's a few holes that I don't love. Um But I'll break it down like this. I enjoyed the show. I
Hmm.
liked a lot of stuff that it offered. I don't know if the ending was executed like amazingly. And I don't. I'll say if they say that Rhodey was a scroll since Civil War, it'll take a lot away from the show for me. Like I'll be
Yeah.
pissed at this show. I'll take it out on this show. If you just tell me to if you tell me it happened after Endgame,
Yeah.
I won't hate the show as much. That's basically where my feelings are at. I'm
So
like,
you don't
fuck
know
that
how to feel
show.
about the show yet until you have some sort of answer.
Yeah. If you tell me Rhodey was only an alien
Yeah.
since like after Endgame when he went to the hospital for his injuries,
Yeah.
that's fine. But then like I also had people like picking some things apart, like when Tony Stark was dead
Mhm.
and like he just put his hand on Tony Stark like as he was dying and didn't say anything. People was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that makes sense why he didn't say anything. He was an alien. I'm like, really? I was like, that doesn't seem. I was like,
Oh.
He was saving Rocket and stuff too, and he was like
Yeah.
crawling with his armor or all that. I was like, it would take away from Rhodey's character for that cool, like those
Yeah.
cool moments.
Yeah.
So
It makes no sense
yeah.
to have him there.
So I was like, don't piss me if the show wants a better rating from
Yeah.
me. I was like, don't fucking ruin Rhodey's character. Otherwise, I'll be really mad at the show.
It's
But
sort
otherwise,
of the same concept that I see people that a lot of people didn't like Age of Ultron when it came out.
oh, I loved it.
And
My favorite
I
one
don't
still.
understand why, because I thought it was a great movie when it came out. But there was that feeling like there's too much happening. It's setting up a whole bunch of stuff that we don't understand,
Yeah,
and it's like it's just too convoluted and all this other stuff. That's the criticism I remember from the time.
yeah,
Then when people reflect on Age of Ultron, like after rewatching it.
Yeah,
I remember seeing these opinions during COVID, when people were rewatching stuff, right?
yeah,
Um, there's been a lot of reflection on Age of Ultron being a great movie after knowing where things lead up, like where
yeah.
they end up, because
Okay.
it is setting up a bunch of stuff that you know about now, and you're like, oh, it's really cool that they set that up in that movie there, and people's opinions of the movie change. So it seems like you have that same sort of sentiment on Secret Invasion, where it depends on what Marvel does in the future is going to
Yeah.
change your opinion of the show.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way of looking at it. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's the only reason why although Civil War, like sorry, Age of Ultron, I thought was great all the way through. We got to see some cool fights between characters we wanted to see, like Hulkbuster and Hulk.
Hmm.
We got to see Vision come to life. It
I like James Spader as Ultron.
Yeah, me
Cool
too.
voice.
Yeah. Ultron, I thought was cool. A lot of people said he looked terrible. I thought he looked better than
Yeah,
when
the
I
design
when I went
kind
and
of
looked.
sucked, but I did like his performance.
Yeah, his performances of the robot
Yeah.
was fantastic. I actually like the look. I think it looks better than the comic books version with still taking some similarities. I thought it looked great. I liked the whole meteor thing. I liked the whole, it introduced Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. I thought it was fantastic all the way through. The only thing I would have added to it was I wish Falcon was in the fight scene at the end. Like I wish he was helping take down robots because like he was at um the little
Yeah,
party there.
the
He was talking. He says he's like, I'm gonna follow some leads on our guy,
yeah,
and
he
it
was
was
busy doing
talking
that,
about,
yeah.
yeah. But I really wish I could see Falcon flying around and helping out because I think that would have been sick. But I love the whole thing. I thought it was great, and yeah, I think Ultron's still one of my favorite villains. I
Yeah.
think he's like second to Thanos. So
This show I think was okay.
yeah,
I don't think it was a bad show. I did enjoy it. This is
there is
low,
no season 2 coming, right?
not that I know of. The only season
Okay,
2 like show that we know that's happening is Loki and What If.
okay,
Um
yeah, that makes
but
sense.
I'm upset about a few things. I mean, I understand the choices in the show. I'm upset that we lost Talos and Maria Hill. I thought
Mm-hmm.
it'd be cool to keep those characters around, but I understand why they're not here. Um, but yeah, I thought this was okay. I would probably rewatch it. There's some cool stuff that I would like seeing again, but this isn't. This is nowhere near high on my like
Oh,
ranking. And I know it's hard to rank MCU stuff now when we have things like She-Hulk and then Werewolf by Night. It's like like different stuff like that. But um when it comes down to it, this is low on my list. But
yeah,
again, I never considered that a bad thing. I like everything out of the MCU. Still think it's a good show. It I enjoyed. I don't want to say I'm not going to say things like it's worth a watch or say that you should watch it because again, there's a strike going on and we don't want to promote anything. But
yeah.
I I thought it was an okay watch. Um and it wasn't a bad show. I don't know if it deserves the Rotten Tomato score. Is where it comes down to.
Yeah. Yeah. The show as a whole I don't think deserves the score. Just some like plot holes or some things that felt rushed. I think the only things that I felt made the story weak.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like to see scrolls again was kind of cool. To see
Yeah.
them invading the planet was kind of cool. To explain things that happened during the snap seems interesting,
Mm,
and I like for the fans who like those comics, I think it's sweet that you guys got to see like a super scroll or how they turn into super scrolls. I wish it was done better for you, but at least it was like you got something on the screen.
yeah.
Yeah,
I will
I
say
just
the positives of the show is Sonia Fallsworth, and I hope she makes a return.
yeah,
Um, I and the one-on-one character interactions, like the dialogue in this, I'd say like the the script, the character dialogue
yeah,
was probably the highlight of the show
yeah,
because you get some intense scenes of people just like going at each other, like one on one in a room, just like
yeah.
the way that they're talking. I think that the show was written great, but um, like overall, it's not the best. Um, What I'm disappointed in is we didn't see Sharon Carter. I thought that she was going to show up as a Skrull based on where she left off in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm upset we didn't see Val show up because I thought she would have had some sort of role in this.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, that's just nitpicking.
I don't know where I think Sharon Carter we probably won't see her till the next
Armor
that
Wars probably.
Armor Wars or
Yeah,
the Captain America 3 or 4, I guess.
yeah, she could be there.
Um,
But let's talk about Loki.
hang on. There's just one thing. Do
Okay.
you think we'll see any like? Do you think so? Those when we saw uh Fury's like little grave he had of himself where he was hiding that vial of blood. Do you think he has more harvested blood spread out, or do you think that was the soul one? Like, do you think we'll see Avenger DNA come back up at all in the future? I'm
I
hoping we
hope
don't.
not.
I know it's
I,
just too confusing.
yeah,
Like, I don't really need to see any more of that. Like,
we don't.
I don't know.
We don't. Like I said, She-Hulk makes fun of this episode, and
Hmm.
the whole thing is,
How does she? I'm so curious as how She Hulk makes fun of this because it came out before
yeah,
this.
exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. I have to watch. I still have to watch it.
Yeah, you have to watch it. I'm not going to spoil it. Even me continuing my thought spoils it. So, um, I hope we don't.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, she said he had secret. He's like, oh, I got secret bases like this all over the place. I'm assuming he has other secrets hidden in there, not more Avenger DNA. So
Yeah, it could be
that's what I'm
that, or
assuming.
they're just gravestones.
Yeah, it could be gravestones. I'm hoping he's got like guns and stuff hidden at them. I'm
I mean, yeah, he
assuming it's
has
Nick
eye
Fury.
patches and shit hidden. So,
Yeah, I don't think he's got more Avenger DNA. I hope it's the
yeah,
last of it. And was that facility, that like thing that they created for making Super Scrolls, was it destroyed in that episode? I can't remember if it was destroyed or not.
he punched a hole through the wall.
Yeah, I know they fought like in it. I just don't know how much was like how much of it was destroyed,
I don't think it
or if
was
they.
fully destroyed.
I don't remember if they blew it up after she rescued everybody. Like I don't
Maybe there's some.
remember.
I don't know. Maybe she went back and destroyed it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can't remember. I'll have to watch. I'll have to rewatch it again. It basically, if you want the quick thing on that, Nick's in space and there's a super scroll now, and that's about like the only thing that's really gonna like move forward.
But the Super
Uh,
Skrull is an ally.
yeah, the super scroll is an ally. Um, Yeah, I don't know. It is
Okay.
gonna be crazy though in Armor Wars if there's still riots happening. People are like shooting each other and stuff. So
I don't
uh,
think that would be part of the story in Armor Wars, just because I feel like Armor Wars is going to have its own subject to talk about, and that kind of feels like it would be a distraction.
interesting.
But Armor Wars is a movie.
Yeah.
It was going to be a show, but now it's a movie. So I don't know. It's interesting.
And
Um,
this one's about people stealing
yeah. The
Tony's
the
tech.
synopsis is that War Machine has to deal with people with Tony Stark's technology getting into the wrong hands. So basically, Tony Stark's worst nightmare.
Yeah. Okay.
Want to talk about Loki?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
how Loki.
We got a trailer this morning for Loki season 2,
Yeah.
and it looks fun.
It does look fun. I hope it explains a lot, or at least trims some stuff. Uh, I am most excited to see. I'm just gonna call him Kang because I don't. He's got 100 different names, but I'm excited to see Kang in this one as the. He looks like he's from the past or from. Like I don't understand Kang fully. I don't know if he has the power of time
He
or
has
if the past.
control of time.
So he has control of it.
He
So
understands out of
yeah,
anybody in the Marvel
yeah.
multiverse. He's the one who completely understands how time works.
See, so the way I am
And
interpreting
I
this
say
from how
one when I mean an infinite number of him.
right. Yeah. So when I see him in this one, it looks like we're gonna learn how he either becomes I don't know. It looks like Loki and that guy they go to the past and he's like he doesn't look like much and he goes oh no he's scary and then I think it's like him showing time and like maybe he's like developing his thing that he uses to travel throughout time, or how he is understanding it. But just looks really cool. So then I'm wondering if this is like how Kang begins, and then
Oh, that's not
he
gonna be
goes
his
to.
origin. No.
No, you don't think so? Because I was wondering if it would be his origin, which I think would be sweet. And then
We
we see him go to the future and he gets a bunch of
well,
technology.
yeah.
And then he spreads out from the past to the future to different
Could
timelines. And then he gives
yeah,
shares
because
with all different versions of himself.
there's not one origin of Kang.
Mm,
There's an infinite number of origins of Kang. So we got a brief description
I'm
on
wondering.
how Kang, or at least like He Who Remains told the story of how a version of him existed and found multiple other versions of him, and the story of how this originally started, and then He Who Remains stopped that.
Yeah.
He essentially null and voided all of those other existences of Kang, and
Yeah.
then Sylvie restarted that process after killing He Who Remains.
Yeah. Because
So,
I remember he said he separated us from the war. So the multiverse war has always been happening,
mhm.
but our timeline was a singular thing or a circle or something, and it was away from their.
No,
It
no,
was
no.
away
There
from the
was no
fight.
single timeline. There
Well,
was,
there's
unless you're talking about the MCU. Like
yeah,
that's like the primary timeline that is all that we've seen. Like that's all that Marvel has focused on. They haven't showed us other multiverses or anything, but there's always been other multiverses or
that's what I'm
other
saying.
timelines, and it got to the point where there was so many of them that uh and then the other versions of Kang realized this, that there was a war happening, whereas
Yeah,
other timelines were going to war with other timelines or realities or however you want to conceive it. Um, then He Who Remains saw that and is like, I need to put a stop to this. I need to make it so that there's one single timeline, so
yeah,
that way there's nobody else to go to war with. Everything just exists with no free will. Everything's predetermined and goes through that timeline. Um,
yeah.
so
That's what
yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah,
I'm saying like I always see like there's like a giant like I think he shows us it in the first Loki. Like there's a giant like multiversal war. Like
yeah.
let's say it's the galaxy or whatever. All these timelines are all bleeding into each other. They're all branches, but then he keeps us separate so that we don't collide with anything else. But then once Sylvie killed them, we are now. He's like once we go forward, we're
No,
colliding.
so when he got to power and
Yeah,
found Eliath and and stopped all those other timelines, he created one timeline. So when Loki and Sylvie meet with him,
yeah.
all those other timelines that existed before no longer exist. There's just the one that he created.
I don't know, man. I
You
thought I
have to.
remember that
I'll
from the
have to
first one.
rewatch it, but I'm pretty sure that's how he explained it. He's like, he said he stopped. It's also the explanation at the beginning of the show, with the animated introduction. They say before there was a multiverse, there's a multiversal war. Then the timekeepers um stopped all those other timelines and created the one single timeline, that the sacred timeline. And then he sort of reiterates that when Loki and Sylvie meet him at the end. He said,
Yeah.
"I stopped everything and created the one timeline."
Yeah, I thought he said something like he keeps us like away from it. Like he kept it so that ours does not branch into others and others can't branch into us. But if you kill him, he will no
No,
longer be able to
there's also a
stop it. So
visual representation. Somehow, I don't get how this works, but there's a visual representation of the timeline in the background of the Citadel
yeah,
as they were discussing this. And at the point where he can no longer contain it and it's not a single timeline, things can just branch off, which again also doesn't make sense because the Citadel exists at the end of and or slash outside of time. So
yeah,
I don't get how that starts branching things. But anyway, regardless, the moment that things start changing is when the branches start happening. So as he's explaining it, there is one single timeline in the background,
yeah,
and then visually, as it's no longer being contained, it starts branching out again. And when Sylvie
Yeah.
kills him, that's when branches are all over the place.
I have to go watch this right after
Yeah.
this now because I need to know what happens. But okay, so what do you think is gonna happen in Loki 2? Like,
I
what are
don't know,
you
man.
hoping
I'm in
for
for
or
the ride
expecting?
because
You're just in for the ride, yeah.
Loki season 1, I had no expectations for. I wasn't even really looking forward to because Loki as a character, I
Yeah,
like Tom Hiddleston's portrayal of him, but I
yeah.
wasn't the massive fan of the character that everybody else was because I wasn't
Oh
really a
yeah,
huge fan of the comics either.
love
Um,
Loki.
but the show surprised me,
Yeah.
and I thought it was very well done. So I'm just looking forward to what they're going to show in season 2.
I still think it's the best show out of all the shows that they've introduced. It's my favorite one.
It's up
Uh,
there. I obviously for me, Miss Marvel and WandaVision are above it,
yeah.
but yeah, this is definitely one of the best Disney Plus shows for sure.
It's my favorite, but Moon Knight was fun. Moon Knight was like just like I was like I have no idea what's gonna go with this character, and
Yeah,
I will say Moon Knight got a little weird with me when we went into like the
yeah,
Egyptians like
hmm
afterlife because I was like, why do we have some characters that are like tied to afterlife with like Egyptian? I didn't really understand how afterlife worked, so I was like, unless
a
you're
lot
like,
of gods in the Marvel
yeah,
universe.
I guess death is just different depending on your faith in the MCU or
hmm
depending on something. Like I
Yeah,
don't really
because
understand
like
how death
Asgardians,
works.
Asgardians
Go
who
to
die in
Valhalla.
battle go to Valhalla. Yeah,
Yeah. And then but then you had like he died and he went to like this weird sandy place with like talking hippos and other animals
yeah,
and
it's
then
just
he was
one plane that exists.
yeah, and then he was able to leave. And then um
You notice that
Black
most of these planes
Wakanda.
that they talk about exist within the scope of Earth.
That's what I was thinking too. That was weird.
Yeah.
What? I don't have any.
So
Just that pile there.
I'll go on here, but one thing I noticed in this trailer, Loki's like glitching out, very much Spider-Verse style.
Oh yeah, yeah. It looks like he's being. It looks like he's being. I didn't see
The new Spider-Verse.
the new Spider Verse,
Yeah, but
but
you've seen
he
the
does.
first one.
He looks like he's being pulled, like he pulled through timeline to timeline, or like being
Yeah.
deteriorated out of time. I don't really know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder how that's gonna work. Um, I really don't have much to say other than this trailer looks cool. I'm looking forward to the show. It's gonna be a fun time.
Yeah.
We're gonna have fun talking about it.
So do you think the TVA is only something that He Who Remains created so that he could clean up other
He who
timelines?
remains created the TVA. Yes,
Yeah. So that there's all these other multiverses, there are no timelines or no TVA, like cleaning up shit, right?
there is still a TVA.
You
There
think
is
there's still
still
TVA?
a or multiple TVA. And again,
Okay.
the TVA changed at the end of Loki, which shouldn't make sense if the TVA exists outside of time, but I think
Yeah.
it's clear that the TVA exists within time.
Yeah, I
So
don't
this
know.
it's made up, yeah.
Oh god, man, that's what I hated about the multiverse saga. It introduces cool things where we get to see 3 Spider-Man on screen,
hmm
but then I just have a headache trying to explain
Yeah.
anything to anybody. Like I'm just like I don't fucking
Yeah,
know.
it's all
Uh,
temporary because
yeah,
there's no way it's going to keep going on like this.
I,
I think it's going to wrap up at Secret Invasion. So I think we just got
it,
to bear through and deal with the
yeah.
headaches.
I think you have to. We're gonna
Yeah.
see a lot of cool things. Like Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness had a lot of cool shit in it. We saw Spider-Man No Way Home. There's gonna be a lot of cool stuff, but then we're also just gonna have a lot of like shows that are
Yeah.
just gonna give you headaches, and I don't know. It's
I
too
like
much.
delving into the theory, but
Yeah,
it does get confusing when you're trying to think of it and explain everything, and especially when it's not as clear a concept. It's a very confusing concept uh, 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 to different people, and we're trying to explain how we interpret what we're seeing,
right.
and how it's explained. That it just gets even more convoluted and confusing. But I have fun talking about it, but it's not something that's sustainable. I think it has to
Yes.
wrap up at some point.
And what also makes it more difficult is like a movie I could explain to you in like a minute if you didn't understand something. But like
Yeah.
a show, and like Loki was like 6 episodes. It doesn't seem like a lot, but when you explain little pieces of stuff in six
Yeah.
different episodes, and I gotta try to remember each piece, and I gotta watch each different episode to remember it, and then you don't make the next second season till fucking 2 years later, and then I don't remember where the fuck I'm at. Like then I'm like, yeah, I have no idea what the fuck happened. Loki 1. I was like, I know he killed some dude, and then the
Yeah.
shit's just a mess. I was like, so now I gotta go watch Loki 1 again, so I could figure out what the fuck happened, and
Yeah.
then I got Kang in one like throughout a show, and then I got Kang in Quantumania, and they're outside of the fucking multiverse too. They're outside
Yeah.
of time. It's not affected. I'm like,
I
what the fuck? And it's just too much.
I think but I think the streaming services do like I don't like having the show. If I had to choose between having the show appear 2 years later
Yeah,
versus an annualized, like here's the next season in the fall season when TV premiere stuff start, right?
yeah, yeah.
Compared to network TV, I'd rather have the Disney Plus option because they're spending more time with the show rather than rushing things to meet a deadline, right?
I
Um,
like that.
and they're building stuff that exists within this other universe that they're making that involves movies and everything else. So they're putting the movie thought process and production into these shows and
Hmm.
not making them a 13 episode long fall to spring series on a network TV show with commercials. No, it's being presented as a shorter 6 episode contained story, and then they have another story they're going to spend time to work on it to make sure it's good. So I much prefer that, like having
Yeah,
to wait, than to have a super long Agents of Shield 7 series thing to meet network TV where the last 2 seasons don't make sense.
I get that, and I'm
Yeah.
fine with that. I wish they would release all the episodes at once though, because when like
Yeah. Well, they're
when
toying
I
with that
binge it,
idea because Echo's going to be all at once.
yeah,
So if
because
that
like when
works out,
mhm. I didn't know that. I actually will happy, and then I'll be more happy to watch that all at once. Because I like Hawkeye. I think I know better than everything because Hawkeye I didn't watch week to week. I watched it all at once, so it seemed more fluid.
yeah.
Whereas like all the little details of this show we just watched, Secret Invasion, I liked a lot of parts, but like I'm like I almost don't remember what happened like 2 4 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what was the? I remember like the first episode and like the last two. I don't remember the little in between stuff. Honestly, like I remember the first episode and then that fight with Gaia and Nick Fury's wife, and then the
Yeah.
last episode. I don't remember the in between because it was too long.
I think Hawkeye would have been a good one to watch all at once.
Yeah, that's what me and Jess
Yeah.
we watched it all one day, and it was like a nice. Well, it was like a 6 hour Christmas movie.
Yeah.
We made dinner and stuff, and then we just sat and ate dinner, had snacks going all day, and we watched it. And it was awesome. It was like a good 6 hour day of just like Hawkeye
Yeah.
stuff.
I don't have anything else to talk about Loki. We went long on the stupid time travel discussion.
We did,
Um,
we did. I don't
let's
even know where did
let's
we start this at. Like, oh, we started at 10:30.
yeah, like 10:30.
Fuck.
Our time. um,
Yeah.
let's try to finish things up with the Marvels because this is the second week now that the trailer's out. So,
Yeah.
um, I can't wait for this movie. This movie looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah. I for someone who didn't like Captain Marvel when it first came out, like when I saw it in theaters, I thought it was just okay. But
I
then I
thought it was a
really
great
liked.
movie. I felt like I was in the minority, and I watched it again afterwards. I'm like, this is a great movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There was parts of it I liked, but I wasn't in love with it right away. Then when I saw her in Endgame, and they used her just the right amount, where I wasn't pissed that
We're
she
at the
was like,
beginning and the end.
yeah, but they used her like the right amount where she like was like posed a threat to Thanos and like stopped him. He stopped him from snapping.
Okay.
She
Yeah.
beat the shit out of like Thanos, or like like Thanos like couldn't kill her until he actually like hit her with the Power Stone. And I thought they made her balanced in that way, where like Thanos like was almost losing against her because she had all these powers, but then he just like Power Stoned her. She stopped the snap. She destroyed his ship. She saved Tony, but then it was mostly about Tony and Thanos like after that. And I still like she didn't hog the spotlight, but she had a lot of really good moments. So I thought that was really cool because I was so scared that they were gonna make this superpowered character. She was gonna come in and then just like sweep the floor with all the other heroes that we've seen 10 years in the making about to fight Thanos. I was so scared. But then I went back and watched it. Loved the show. So now I'm excited to see Carol Danvers again. I gotta finish Miss Marvel
Yeah.
so I can figure out what happens with these bangles and stuff. But
Mhm.
I think it looks hilarious and fun, and I like the cosmic stuff. It's almost like a female Guardians of the Galaxy, it seems like, and it's gonna be very like joking with them using their powers and being very frustrated at first.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's gonna be one of those movies where they come together, and once they're all intertwined, and they can maybe they untwine and they fix it. But it'd be fun to watch them learn how to use each other's powers and basically learn how to teleport with powers. I think would be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of interested to see that.
I'm a huge character. I'm a huge fan of Captain Marvel from the comics.
Yeah.
Huge fan of Miss Marvel from the comics. Huge fan of the Miss Marvel show. I really like the Captain Marvel movie. I like the the constant implementation of the Beastie Boys song. I'm not a huge fan of that song in general, but I think it just works so well in these movies, the way that they interpreted it. So that just has me more hyped. Um, and yeah, this movie looks like a lot of fun. I think we're also going to explore on other stuff that we've had questions about. Hopefully, I don't know. Like I hope for stuff in Secret Invasion that didn't happen, but I'm hoping we get like a little taste of more incursions and stuff that they might bring up, and again, more answers on the Bengals. So hopefully we'll see more of that stuff, because this is the movie to do it. If they don't do it, a little bit upsetting. It's like, how are they going to like bring everything home, bring it all together at the end in
Uh,
Phase 6? But
you think for incursions
yeah,
for the Marvels?
yeah,
Yeah. I I think we talked about that before. We're both really excited for incursions, and that was another thing I was talking about Loki. I think it looks like there might be some incursions happening in Loki season 2. So I'm excited for if the multiverse saga picks up a lot more with incursions with like Doctor Strange, Loki, the
yeah,
Marvels. I'm on board then for the multiverse because this incursion stuff looks fun and looks like I'm like if you're gonna get messy, just get fucking messy. Like let's just
sure,
fucking
yeah,
go where shit like with the shit like make it like the glass world in Doctor Strange. What's it called? The whatever it's
Glass
called.
World,
That thing that he creates. The ancient one does it for him to train the mirror dimension.
yeah, the
Like
mirror
let's just
dimension, yeah,
yeah, it's gonna get some stuff's all gonna be shattering and things are gonna be colliding and breaking and it's just gonna get fucking
yeah,
crazy. I'm like, let's just go. I'm like, yeah, let's go for the ride. And
yeah.
I think it, I think when we talk about Loki, if we can do Loki week to week too,
I
that'd be
want to,
really
yeah.
fun.
We'll
Yeah.
try,
Is it gonna be 6 episodes again?
yeah.
6? Okay.
As far as
Yeah,
I know, yeah.
I think we can do that. And then we have Miss Marvel to talk about. What's the date on that one again? Is that October or November?
For the Marvels,
Marvels? Yeah,
I just saw it right now, November 10th.
November 10th. And is that for sure, or is there still gonna be like any delays with strikes or anything,
I
or
don't
no?
know. I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, yeah, I
Things
guess we're
change
gonna.
all the time. That's another
Yeah, well,
topic we're gonna have like right after this. That will be a quick one, but yeah, things have changed again.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
what else? A little bit of an off-topic thing. I'm not gonna delve further into, but to go back to our time travel discussion,
Yeah.
if in the single timeline, America Chavez wouldn't exist from Multiverse of Madness, her timeline and her existence wouldn't happen. Anyway,
Well, I just meant like it's a single timeline until once Sylvie killed the guy that
yeah,
stopped
yeah, yeah.
them.
Now she
Okay,
exists
okay.
because of that.
Yeah, no,
But
yeah,
before then, she wouldn't have existed. And then
right.
in the original MCU timeline, uh, prior to Sylvie, um, Multiverse of Madness wouldn't have happened because America Chavez wouldn't exist, and there wouldn't have uh Wanda wouldn't have dreamed of her kids existing in another universe because they wouldn't have existed in another universe.
I think Wanda's has to do with her powers, but you're right. I know. I'm happy Sylvie killed
Mhm.
the guy because now we get to experience all this stuff. Same thing with this like the Spider-Mans, like my childhood. Like I'll die happy knowing I saw 3 Spider-Mans
Yeah,
throughout my childhood, like from my grade school years to my college years and then to my like adulthood. Like I
yeah,
watched 3 different Spider-Mans all like swing off each other. Fucking flawless.
nice.
Awesome. But
Um,
but
for
yeah.
for this movie, we got a closer look at the villain. I don't know if you caught who the villain was. So
Oh,
it looks
is
like
it that
another
female?
accuser. Yeah, she has like the
Yeah.
same hammer that Ronan had.
Okay.
And we see more Kree. Also, by the end of the Secret Invasion, we didn't bring it up, but Fury mentioned that the Kree now is cool with the Skrulls, and they're talking about a peace treaty. Where we talked about that before in a previous episode, but like what happened to the Kree? So the last time they signed a peace treaty, they weren't cool with Xandarians, or they didn't care about Xandarians when they had an extremist try to kill them. Is there going to be an extremist that's anti-Skrull that's going to try to kill all the Skrulls, and they're not going to do anything?
Yeah.
Anyways, that we're going to bring that topic up another time. But yeah, the Kree are in this. Also in this, which I think was in the last trailer, there's like a world that they go to where everybody's dancing. I don't know if you saw
I
that. Everybody's in like different colored clothing and they're all dancing.
I did not notice that.
Yeah,
No. I
it's been
spent a
in
lot of
both
time.
trailers.
I spent a lot of time looking at everyone's powers because it
Yeah,
was cool watching them just mostly the light stuff, and I was listening to the music and stuff. Uh, yeah, I don't know, dancing.
yeah. And we got like a scene with like a ship full of Flurkin.
The cat, the
Yeah,
cat is.
just a bunch of
Oh,
cats.
yeah, the little kittens.
Yeah,
I was wondering if they're gonna be kittens or if they're all gonna be Flurkin, but the
they're
Flurkin is
Flurkins.
they're Flurkins. So I'm happy. What do they call them? What do they call them? Goose or
Yeah, the Captain Marvel's pet Flurkin is Goose.
Goose? Yeah, I'm happy to see Goose again because
Yeah,
Goose is what scratched Nick's eye out. So
yeah,
I'm excited to see any banter between the two of them again. So I also heard that behind the scenes, Samuel L. Jackson and I forget Carol Danvers's actress's name, Brie Larson.
Brie Larson. Yeah.
So Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson both hate that fucking cat.
Well, Brie Larson
I
doesn't like
thought.
it because she has allergies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought I heard that though. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Um. So yeah, that's the reason. I guess that's the reason why so many of the scenes with Goose have been computer generated in Captain Marvel is because Brie Larson just couldn't do her lines with the cat because she had like terrible allergies.
I wonder if she's like sneezing allergies and like stuffy nose, or she like swells up because that'd be crazy
For
if she's
me,
just like,
when I had my cat, it's like
yeah,
really bad. But like, I love that fucking thing, so I powered through it, and then I got
yeah,
like better over time. But they were always there. So like, I have really bad allergies with a cat, so I can imagine, like, if she didn't live with or grow up with a cat,
yeah,
and deal with her allergies all that time, I can imagine she's just like
this is awful.
terribly, yeah. Um,
Would you get another cat?
Uh, yeah, I'm not in a situation right now where I could. Also, the cat wasn't like my. It was like my brother's cat because he like took care of it and like did everything
Yeah,
with it. And um, but yeah, I would, but I'm not in a place right now where I can get a cat. So
yeah.
my aunt was trying to like pawn off some puppies to either myself or my brother. I don't know if I should bring that up with you, but like they were like they're like this close to adopting a puppy.
Hmm.
I don't know if you want to convince them or not.
Who, your brother?
Yeah.
Your brother?
Um.
I want a dog. I'm just waiting.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it just yet because Justin and I are just
Well,
waiting. But
I mean, if you want one,
yeah,
I can have you contact my aunt. 'Cause
okay.
she's got two puppies. She only wants to keep one. They're like tied together. So it's like she wants to separate them now, so it's not so bad on them later.
One,
Um.
show me some pictures, and two, tell
I
me a
got
price.
pictures.
Yeah,
Send
send
you
me some
pictures right
pictures.
now.
Send me a picture and send me a price, and we'll
I
look
don't
into
know
it.
about price, but I can have you
Yeah.
contact her.
See, my
But
only thing is we get my girlfriend's parents' dog a
yeah,
lot because I love that thing. Like I've known her whole life, so
yeah,
that dog is like my dog to me. And if I get another dog, I probably won't invite their dog over as much. So I was
right.
like, Stella's my dog. So until Stella like dies when she's 85 years old, I was like, I won't get another dog. But still,
Well,
I told that dog she has to outlive me. I was like, Stella, you got to live to your 85.
yeah. Well, I'll send you pictures now, but we're done with Captain Marvel, right?
I think so. I think there wasn't much. It wasn't like a lot of like full story. It was just like I don't know. It was very action and fun. So I think we're both just on the ride for that. I think I'm right now going forward with the MCU. I think I'm most excited for Loki season 2. I think is what I'm most excited for.
I,
Marvels looks good.
yeah, I think I'm actually, honestly, I think I'm more excited for the Marvels than I am with Loki.
I think Jess would also say that probably.
Yeah, she's a big Cat Marvel fan.
Yeah, she loves
Yeah.
Captain Marvel.
Last thing I want to talk about because we don't have time for anything else.
Oh my god, those are some very tiny dogs.
I know
They're so
they're very cute. They're very like nervous though. Like we went to go see them. The black one wouldn't come up to us at all. The brown one eventually got there,
yeah,
but they were like both like really nervous and didn't want to like come up to us at all.
yeah.
Um, they're like I think they're like almost 3 months. I think my aunt said.
Mm.
Um, yeah. By the way, if you want to see the pictures, exclusively uploaded to my Hive. So find @tillplays on Hive if you want to follow me there. Um,
For the puppies.
yeah, for the puppies. I didn't upload them anywhere else. They're just on
Okay.
Hive.
Okay.
um, so yeah, the last thing is that Sony movies. I said that I'm expecting a Madam Web trailer and
Yeah.
stuff at some point. I don't know if that'll happen. So a bunch of Sony movies have been delayed, and I wonder if I can. Yeah, I'll just bring this up on screen because I didn't create a slide for it or anything.
Did lie. I'm actually more excited for Deadpool 2 before everything else, or Deadpool 3. Deadpool
Sure,
3 right now
yeah.
is
I
like
don't.
on
I
my list.
mean, that's delayed, so who knows when we're gonna get that. But um, I didn't even look at fully what the movie dates are, but things have been shifted around. If we're looking at just the Marvel stuff right now, Madam Web has been pushed. Oh, it's actually been pushed up. So it used to be February 16th. They moved it to February 14th, aka Valentine's Day. So Madam Web's coming sooner. So we could be getting a trailer. I mean, I think that movie's done, so we should be getting a trailer. Um, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse has been indefinitely delayed, I guess. It had a date of March 29th, 2024. There's no date anymore.
That's
So that's the third Spider-Verse movie.
yeah.
Craven the Hunter has been pushed like a year, so it was going to be October of this year.
That one does look.
Now it's August 30th, 2024.
Oh, that's like a year away.
Yeah. And
Wow.
then I don't know if there's anything else. I think those are the only planned Sony movies. Oh yeah, there's the Venom sequel. Untitled Venom sequel. Oh, that didn't have a date before, but now it has a date. July 12th, 2024.
Not excited for that after the last one, so I guess we'll see. You get the you
I'll still
better
watch
you.
it, but
I'll watch it. I don't know if I'll pay for it though.
I think I'm right there with you.
Yeah, like I don't know. If I can get free movie
Yeah.
tickets or something.
Yeah, so that sucks. I'm still kind of I feel um like I'm overly excited about Madam Web like more than I should be. Like
Hmm.
I feel like for all intents and purposes it should be a movie that I shouldn't care about and it's probably going to suck, but I'm excited for it just based on like the concept of the rumors.
Yeah,
And just it being a Spider-Man property and involving characters that I really like from the comics. So I hope they do a good job with it. But I want to see the trailer and I want some confirmed character announcements because we know that there's going to be Madam Web or Cassandra Webb, which is a much younger version than what we're used to from like comics and animation. She's usually like a really old person. Um, and then we have uh Julia Carpenter, which is another Spider Woman. That's confirmed for one of the actors as well. And then one of the actors, based on behind the scenes footage and rumors, sounds like a character called Ezekiel. And if Ezekiel's in it, just based on the comics, and this being rumored to be kind of like a Spider Verse movie on its own, I feel like we might be getting inheritors, which are a character which I keep hoping for but never appear because they're not a popular character. but they're one of my favorite Spider-Man villains, which are
Mm,
multiversal time traveling vampires that hunt spider characters.
interesting.
So so I really hope we see those, but I don't know. They could be just changing the villain.
Uh, I have a question
Yeah.
for the guy in Falcon and Winter Soldier, Agent Secret. What's his name? Captain Agent or something? Fucking what the fuck's the agent guy's name? I forget what he became.
Captain H.
What's his name? It's Agent
Uh, his
Agent
name
something.
is U.S. Agent.
There you go. Yeah, U.S. Agent. And isn't he supposed to be on a new team with like Abomination and stuff? What's
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts? Okay, that's the Thunderbolts. Are they? Is there a movie coming out for that, or a
Yeah,
show or something?
a movie.
When is that supposed to be again?
I don't know. I can look it up.
I think we saw something for it a while ago. I forget who's on that
Yeah, I
team.
don't.
Is
So
Taskmaster on that team too?
yeah, Taskmaster's on the team. Don't expect anything from that anytime soon because they haven't. I don't. I don't even think they finished writing that movie. So
I don't. Yeah.
that's
Okay.
that's gonna be
And
delayed.
is Ghost on that team too?
Ghost is on that team. Yeah.
Is that now? This is just. I don't know why this is in my brain. Is that person that we thought was supposed to be Madame Hydra? Is she supposed to be like the captain of that team, or like the leader or the organizer? Like kind of like.
Technically, Bucky is the leader, but
So Bucky will be.
she's like in charge of the team. Yeah.
So she's kind of like the Nick Fury of the team, and Bucky's gonna
Yeah.
be like the.
Yeah.
Okay. So all right. So
Where's
yeah,
the
I thought.
wiki?
I was like, that'll probably be a while before we see that group. I was wondering what was going on with them. It's been a while since we talked about them. Thunderbolts. He's
Yeah.
different.
So
Who's the guy
according to
that?
Wikipedia, it's planned for December 20th, 2024. So maybe the script is done, but there's nobody acting for it. Like
Hmm.
unless they haven't, unless their planned shoot date hasn't come yet. Because maybe the actor strike will be resolved by then and they'll start shooting. But I feel like this is actually. Let me look up the production. The Wikipedia probably has some information on it.
And what's my other question? Are we gonna see Bucky and Captain America with Falcon? You think? Or yeah, we're gonna see Winter
No.
Soldier again.
I think it's been confirmed that we're not going to see him.
Okay.
Filming
And
was expected to take place in Utah in mid 2023, while principal photography is expected to occur in Atlanta following the 2023 Writers Guild of America strike.
okay.
Okay.
I think you told me before, but I had never watched like the Thunderbolts. Was the Thunderbolts a TV show, or is it Black Bolts, or what the fuck was it?
No, this is every
No,
time we bring this
the,
up.
what is that?
Inhumans
Inhumans.
is the show that
So Inhumans,
features Black Bolt, the
the Black
Inhuman
Bolt is the guy from is the guy
from
who
Doctor
talks
Strange.
and it gets really loud, right?
Yep.
He talks, or if he shouts, it like destroys people.
No,
So
if he
Black
if
Bolt,
he does anything,
if he makes any sound, it like gets louder and louder and louder and
if
louder
he
until it
if
just
he
basically like
coughs,
anything
uh,
with his mouth,
yeah, if he coughs, a mountain can explode.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
So Black Bolt is. I would probably just like that's such a crazy power. Like I feel like I just have duct tape over my mouth all the time.
Yeah, he can never talk.
Yeah.
Do you
So I
want me to
just
spoil something from the show?
so how do
'Cause
you so if you cough
Spoilers for Inhumans.
so if you cough you just have to like look at the sky and then
No,
just
you
shout
you
out
can't cough.
wow. Well what how does he just not cough? What if he sneezes? Like stuff comes out of your
He has
mouth.
very good control.
Oh my god, that's crazy. You
Yeah.
just like
Can't
convert all your
sneeze. Can't
coughs. You
sneeze.
gotta
Can't
convert
do
your
anything.
coughs and your sneezes into farts. Like you gotta do something. Like you just like you'd have to, man. Like I don't know.
Do you want me to
You can't
spoil the show? It's
you
like I
can't
think at the
yawn
beginning
either.
of the show kind of explains
Yeah,
like his
sure.
character actually.
But Black Bolt is separate from Thunderbolts, right? They're
Yeah.
not okay, all right. I gotta remember that. I always forget that shit. Okay, what is what about the in Black Bolt and then humans?
Uh,
Do
I think I can't remember what he says. I think he says why, but he was his parents were confronting him or explaining something to him about his inhuman heritage or whatever. I can't remember what
yeah.
the whole conversation, but I think he's just like just says one word why, and then it just kills his parents.
Oh my god.
Like he just accidentally says it.
Oh, that happens in the Inhumans TV show.
Yeah.
How many episodes are there?
I don't know if you really want to dive into the show, but
No, it's
it's
okay.
a
Yeah,
it's a short season. I can't remember how many episodes. It's a very short show.
it's just one season. Maybe I'll have to
One
watch that.
season because it was horribly reviewed. It's considered like the worst thing that Marvel's ever done. It wasn't Marvel Studios. It was Marvel TV. The whole idea between Inhumans. Fox had X-Men at the time.
Right,
Marvel couldn't do anything with X-Men.
right.
The Disney executives at the time they were like stopping Marvel from I mean at the time this Marvel Comics writers were saying that's exaggerated. We're still writing X-Men comics. Don't be absurd. But I think since then it's been there's been like books and stuff about this, but yes, Marvel behind the Disney behind the scenes was trying to stop X-Men comics from being a thing, and there was a clear resurgence of Inhuman comics because they were bringing up the subjects in the TV shows like Agents of Shield and stuff like that,
Yeah,
where they were trying to put Inhumans front and center, and it felt like they were trying to replace X-Men with Inhumans. There's even a point in the comics where the Inhumans gene, which had spread across the planet, just with in the Infinity crossover comic, was uh, lethal to mutants. If mutants had like inhaled the Inhumans Terrigen Mist is what it's called,
yeah,
they could die. So it seemed like the Inhumans were literally killing off X-Men. So I think Marvel executives are like, let's make our own X-Men. We can't use X-Men, but Inhumans are basically the same thing. So
yeah,
let's just make an Inhumans movie. And then Kevin Feige's like, I don't want to make an Inhumans movie. And they're like, well, tough luck. You're going to make an Inhumans movie. And then he announced it at the stage. He's like, fine. It's going to be in between Infinity War and Endgame. Although at the time it was called Infinity War Part 2.
yeah,
Then I think it was very clear that they did not want to make an Inhumans movie, or it didn't fit within their plan. So Marvel's like, again, the executives were like, okay, well, we still want to do Inhumans, so let's make it a TV show because we have control over the TV show because it's not part of Kevin Feige's thing.
yeah,
So uh, they decided to do that, but they still wanted to do like a movie premiere for it. So they premiered the first 2 or 3 episodes in an IMAX thing, and it
yeah,
bombed.
yeah.
Nobody liked it. It got like nobody showed up to it, and all the reviews said it sucked. So they
That sucks to be so
continued.
confident and
Yeah, they
wanting to do something, and then you just bomb it, and you're just
yeah.
like, oh, I guess we shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It really sucks though because I do like the Inhumans as characters and I do like the comics that I've read. So I was really looking forward to a good adaptation of the Inhumans. And I didn't hate the show like everybody else did. I thought it was okay. But um it very clearly wasn't a good adaptation of the comics. They made some weird character decisions in the show that I don't understand how they got away with, but it was clearly because it was a visual effects budget thing, and they're
yeah.
trying to write a way to not have that in the in the show. So it was terrible. But I really do hope that Marvel revisits Inhumans in the future and does it properly. But as it stands right now, as we discuss with every other MCU like project that's considered to be MCU canon, I still consider that show canon until they say otherwise. Which I feel like if there's one show which they're going to say is not canon anymore, it would be that show. But if you
Uh,
want to do the entire Marvel canon,
yeah,
you watch Inhumans.
yeah.
Stuff with it.
Yeah, I'll watch it. Everything I assume is like into it until, like you said,
Yeah.
until they said like, no, this is like a spin-off. It's kind of like how they said like DC is all going to be under James Gunn except for that like spin-off Batman one with
Yeah, the
the
Batman.
Robert Pattinson. Yeah, which is amazing. I think I say that every podcast. But uh the Terrigen Mist, because it's been a while since I played the Avengers game. Is that the same? Was it the same thing? The Terrigen Mist
Yeah.
that created the Inhumans that they made. What was the villain? Modoc was the main villain in that one.
MODOK. Yeah.
Yeah, which was probably the better interpretation of Modoc. Probably the best one I've
The
seen.
instead of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Yeah, no, that one was too silly. It was fun. It was fun for entertaining, but I wouldn't say it was like he's not even in
I
like
like
my
the
top.
Patton Oswald Modoc from the Modoc Show. He's
Yeah,
funny.
that's like a robot chicken thing,
Yeah, it's
isn't
like a
it?
robot chicken thing. Yeah.
That's okay. I don't need to watch that one either.
No, no, you don't. But there
Is
are
that
some
one?
funny things. I do the stuff I like in that show is very similar to the stuff I like in She-Hulk as a comedy.
Yeah,
I like the exaggerated um interpretations of characters from the comics where they like dial up the sarcasm to 11, right? And
yeah.
just like really make fun of that character's traits and abilities and stuff. So they kind of do that a little bit in She-Hulk with some like D-list characters. They definitely do that in MODOK, and I think that's the funniest shit that you can do with Marvel characters. Um, so that's the reason why I like stuff out of that show. Um, there's also a funny show called Hit Monkey. That's a Marvel animated show. If you want to watch that.
Hit Monkey.
Yeah, Hit Monkey.
That just
It's
sounds
a monkey hitman who is avenging uh the death of his like friends and family monkeys, but also the spirit of a guy who was killed from like the same people. Like
okay.
they're working together. They hate each other, but it's a ghost that's attached to the monkey, and he's following the monkey around. He's like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna teach you how to be an assassin." And
There are some things that just don't need to be on screen. Like you could just leave it in a
yeah,
comic book. Like not everything needs to be on the big screen or on a TV show or a cartoon. I guess a cartoon's fine,
yeah.
but did you have anything else to say on Miss Marvel or any other topics?
I didn't know. No, that's pretty much everything.
So everything. Yeah. All right. I don't know what our next. Do you know what our next podcast is gonna be? Probably
No,
not.
I mean, if there's something we want to talk about, we can start another one. But
Yeah.
pretty much the next thing that we will probably be discussing is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse or Loki season 2,
Yeah.
whichever one comes first. Loki is in October.
I was gonna say if you do want, we could. Yeah, there might be a week I missed Loki because I'm on vacation the last week of October. Um,
Okay,
but we could probably. I was
I'll try
thinking
to do
if
something with Matt or someone.
yeah, if we do need, I mean, if you can't, then we can just do 2 episodes the week after. Like we just combine two, right? We could do that if you don't have somebody else talk
We'll
real quick.
figure it out. We'll
We
figure it out.
will. I was thinking if we do need content, I was like, we could both watch Loki again and then talk about the first
I
Loki.
love the idea of revisiting stuff that we never got to talk about.
I was like, I don't think
That's
we
great.
went. I don't know if we went through all of Loki, but at least now we'd have a refresher before we actually do our
Let's
podcast,
do
like on
it.
the.
Let's talk about Loki in the next
So we can. Yeah,
podcast.
yeah, we could go
I'll
through.
rewatch it.
We'll watch Loki and we'll talk about it. Maybe we could do it in like 2 parts. Like we'll both watch the first three, talk about it, and we'll watch the next three and talk about
If
it.
that's how you want to do it, yeah. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
down
something like
for
that.
like
Just
one or
whatever.
two. That's fine.
Yeah, whatever time we both have. I would also. I think we mentioned it last time. I would like to do a like. There's nothing probably for a while, but we do a maybe a hit pause DC and we talk about all of James Gunn stuff because we're both James Gunn fans. So we just see where we talk about his shows. So maybe we'll add to our
I need to
DC
catch up on
fans.
some James Gunn stuff. I should probably watch his older stuff because I haven't, and apparently it's like
Yeah.
great. And
Even just Marvel stuff. I still want you to watch. What's that last one that just came out?
The
Not the last
Flash,
one.
or no,
Well,
Black Adam.
yeah, Black Adam was actually I liked it, and there was a lot of cool
Yeah,
characters that I enjoyed. So
I
Black Adam, I think you would like, and
I want to watch James Gunn's horror movie that was basically what if Superman was evil. I
oh,
can't remember the name of the movie. It happened. It happened. He was going to promote the movie, but uh he got fired right before he was going to do that.
yeah,
So there was like he did like almost no promotion for it because he was trying to do like damage control of his reputation because everybody was calling him a pedophile and all this other shit unrightfully. So and I still think he was unjustly fired, and it backfired big time because he came out on top after all that. So I love it.
yeah,
I love that story. It's the biggest like backfire success story ever. Now he runs DC.
yeah.
Amazing. Good for him. Um but yeah, I can't remember what the movie is called. But I wanted to see the movie to support him and also because it looked like a cool idea. So
Yeah, we should have a different name for instead of Hit Pause DCU. We should just call it like the I don't know something insulting because it's kind of a mess until they clean it up. But
I'll tell
we
you
should.
what we are doing though.
What's that?
Hit pause The Last of Us.
Oh yeah, did you watch it yet?
Yeah, I watched it when it was airing, but
Okay, did you? All
but
right,
most
cool.
importantly, everybody else in Spawn Trap has watched it. So
Okay,
I'm pretty sure Matt's watched it all. Court's watched
yeah,
it all now. We're all gonna get together at some point when we can and discuss season 1 of The Last of Us for sure.
I've watched that show about 3 times already
Really,
because I like I like the episodes. Like I'll throw it on the background or I'll watch it like all the way
it's
through.
too intense. Like I
I love
love
it.
the show. It's probably one of my favorite shows ever. But when shows are so intense like that, I can't just rewatch it. I'm like, I can't. It's if it's a fun show like the Marvel stuff, then yeah, I'll rewatch it all day long because I'm like, oh, it's a fun show I can rewatch. But like the intense stuff that like sticks with me,
Yeah,
and like I'm like stressed watching it, I can't rewatch it. I can just watch it that one time. Maybe I'll revisit it a long time later, but I can't rewatch it.
yeah. Um,
But season 1,
but
amazing. I'm playing through the second game right now. I'm almost done.
yeah, I'm on my second playthrough of the first game. I need to get the second one. Isn't on Steam though, is it? It's just PlayStation, right? Like the first one they released on
Uh,
Steam with the whatever edition, like the remastered edition or something. So I'm able to play it on my computer. So I need to play The Last of Us Part Two
if it's
still.
not on PC yet, I imagine it will be at some point.
Yeah.
Let me look it up. Yeah, I'm playing it on PS4.
Okay. Maybe I
We're
could
just
borrow you or Aunt's PS4 down the road and play it.
yeah, yeah,
Let's
yeah.
see.
Just PS4 for now, but it'll come to PC because all PlayStation games do.
Oh, like when I was because I had Jess watch this and she fucking loved it, and I showed her clips from the original from the game and then from the show, and she's like, "That's amazing! Like that's so good." Like
Yeah,
there were some changes to Sam that he was deaf and used the sign
we're
language.
we're spoiling The Last of Us right now. By the
Yeah,
way.
I won't say anymore, but
Yeah,
it was like I thought all the changes from the show were so much better. And there was an episode that literally touched on the whole like DLC part of the show, and it
yeah,
still went the whole show plus the DLC
yeah.
in one series. Amazing. Okay, we are gonna do that. Maybe we could both watch Peacemaker. I don't know if you were interested at all in trying to watch that again. I'm not.
I will
I didn't.
try to get through it. I
I'll try to
like
get
it.
through it.
It was kind of losing me at the
Me
beginning.
too. It did. I only watched like 3 episodes, and then I
Yeah,
stopped, and that was like 2 years ago.
it's
So
such a shame though because I know like Peacemaker is, um, very, uh, like a lot of people love the show. They think it's a
yeah,
great show. It's like one of James Gunn's best things, and again, like from what I've seen from James Gunn, he doesn't miss. But I
yeah.
just don't think I'm not sure if the show is for me.
I think so too. But I was like, maybe we could try that, or at least at the very least, you and I will just go. Maybe we should watch Shazam and Shazam 2 because I didn't watch Shazam 2 yet. We could talk about that.
Hmm.
We could talk about Black Adam,
If I
and we could
watch
talk about
Shazam 2 and review
yeah,
it, I the entire time I will stress about being how important it is to be vaccinated
yeah,
as a protest
and
against Zachary
yeah, and
Levi.
then we will also talk about the Flash, and I think that's some stuff at
And
least we
at
can
that
talk
point,
about
I will
this summer.
protest. I don't know what, just
All
Ezra Miller in general.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not a fan of him either, so I think we're both the same.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I didn't go to the theater to see that one because I don't want to support that guy. And I'm sorry for the rest of the cast, but I'm like that dude needs to chill out. He is a
Yeah.
mess, and I hope they don't. I think that I heard that they're not going to use him going forward or anything, and they shouldn't
No,
because he's
James Gunn said that um they well, I don't know if he said that um Ezra Miller will be continue being part of the MCU, but he said that he's not going to um he said he's not going to like fire or get rid of them, um because he understands that they are getting uh like rehab, and they're getting better, and they're actually making a change to better themselves. And also James Gunn is James Gunn. He's been through similar situations as Ezra Miller. Not like what Ezra Miller has done, but the backlash and the calls for canceling and stuff like that and getting fired. So I think
Yeah.
James Gunn's more of in a sympathetic mindset.
Yeah.
Th-
Like he's like I don't want to give my hopes up
yeah,
on him yet, kind of thing. I
yeah,
get
yeah.
that. I get that too. The guy clearly needs some help, or
Hmm.
or needs to like I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot of like not just drug stuff. It just seems like a lot of like an
Just
assault,
criminal stuff.
like criminal stuff and
Yeah, they're
assault, and
they're a
that's not going to
criminal
be like
criminal for sure.
yeah. So you kind of gotta figure some of that stuff out. I don't care if that's just because you're a celebrity. You don't like it doesn't make sense that you could just be out and finish a movie while you have all these crimes and stuff still pending. Like it's
Yeah.
weird. I don't know. Anyways, we talked about a lot of stuff for only having 3 things to talk about, though.
I think just because we went on a tangent about like a very like complicated subject that was like
Well, that's
very
what happens.
interesting to both of us.
Like we brought up Loki and
Yeah.
Captain America, and we just went through all the time travel stuff. We are just
Yeah.
like, well,
That
these
was not
just
planned for this podcast. It just happened.
yeah, we just wing it. We kind of just give our thoughts about the shows
Yeah.
that we just watch, and then wherever our rants go from there, you're in for the ride too.
Oh,
So
where would you I don't know. Never mind. Let's skip. Let's just end it here.
announce. Okay, you gotta tell me
Yeah.
off camera because now I want to know.
No, I was gonna ask where you would put Secret Invasion, like the other shows. I know we have our rankings somewhere. We could probably put
Yeah.
it, but like, where would you like? Is it
Mm,
under, over, or anything like the other
So
Disney Plus stuff?
I can't finish. I haven't finished Miss Marvel. She-Hulk's at my bottom because I haven't watched it yet. Maybe it'll move up when I finish it, but it's not quite there. My number one will probably be Loki. Two is Moon Knight.
Hmm.
Three,
I don't remember my exact number. I'll have to look it up.
I don't know either.
I
I can't
can't
remember.
search for any of my tweets on X
I
anymore.
think
The search
three
is
is Hawkeye.
broken.
Yeah, the whole app is broken. I
Yeah.
think three is Hawkeye.
Okay.
Nah, I think I'd still rather watch
But what
Secret
is like?
Invasion.
What's better than Secret Invasion? What's worse than Secret Invasion?
So better than Secret Invasion.
Like, what's above it for you? Like directly above it?
So I got Loki, Moon Knight,
Mhm.
and Hawkeye. And then below Secret Invasion, WandaVision. I know it's a good show, but I wasn't really that like if
Yeah.
I don't have to watch it again, I really won't. I'd rather watch Secret Invasion again. So I know WandaVision's down there. Um,
I would say for me, it's on the level of the Falcon and Winter Soldier for me.
that's what I was gonna say. I didn't know if I wanted to put Falcon Winter Soldier above it or below it. Probably above it, just because I'd rather watch Bucky and Sam all day long than Nick Fury and all of his alien friends. So I guess I'd rather watch that again. Like I love Sam. Like what's the actor's name? Anthony
Anthony
Mackie.
Mackie,
I could watch him in
starring in
everything.
the upcoming movie. Is it a movie or show? I think it's a show. Or it might be on now. It's Twisted Metal, based on the PlayStation game.
Oh, I think I heard about that too. Shit, actually don't know if that's a movie or a show. I thought it was a
I think it's
movie, but
show.
now show sounds more familiar. Yeah, okay. I love Anthony Mackie, and I love and just can't get enough of Winter Soldier. What's his name?
Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan. So you got Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie. I love them so much that even if there were parts in Falcon Winter Soldier I didn't love, watching them like beat the crap out of U.S. Agent, who is not Captain Agent,
Yeah.
was awesome. Like I
I,
liked watching the two of them just beat them up and use their
you make a
powers and
great
stuff.
point. I think it's just under Falcon Winter Soldier for me.
Yeah, like the two of them at least made that show for me because I was like, we
Yeah.
still have some of the guys from the past, and I was like,
I would
okay, I'm in for the stories.
I would say Secret Invasion is probably better than She-Hulk.
Yeah, I think because it was short, it helped too. If it was too long and it had so many holes in it, I'd be like, Jesus Christ, you guys! I'd be like, this is a mess. But it was only
Yeah, I
six
like the
episodes.
condensed story. I'm
Yeah,
excited for you to, whether you hate it or not, just watch She-Hulk.
yeah.
Because
Oh
just
god,
just like some of the stuff that comes up, just like what
isn't
what
there like
what's the deal with this in the MCU? What's going
isn't there
on?
like 15 episodes for that
No, no,
one?
no. It's only 9 episodes, I think.
God, if I thought it was like I thought it was so long. I thought that was
No,
one of the
it's
reasons
not.
why me and Jessica
It's
watch it
because
because
it's a
it's long.
half-hour show, I think, right?
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah,
it's 9 episodes.
yeah. I
And
Miss
then
Marvel. I
and
got
then Miss
I
Marvel
don't
finishing that so that way you can catch up with what's going on with the Marvels.
which I don't hate Miss Marvel. The kids stuff just happened too long. I got bored, and it was the same thing. Nothing against her because I thought she played Miss Marvel great. It's
The
just the same thing
kids,
with.
the kid stuff comes back up in the finale, but I
I
think
know.
from where you left off,
Yeah.
it's more of her ancestry and
Yeah.
backstory. So
I was just so bored with that because I think me and Mike have the same thoughts with like
like Spider-Man and stuff like that.
Spider-Man and his friends. I was like, I don't
Yeah,
really care about MJ and the kid in the
Ned.
chair. They're funny, but I was like,
Yeah,
no. I
I'm
was like, give me
complete
Stan.
opposite of you guys. I think that stuff's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. I like the Captain Winter Soldier. I want to see Tony Stark and adults do like just murder. I was like, "Liz,
Yeah,
I don't care about the kids' drama. I was like, oh, do you think Sarah likes me? I don't give a shit. I don't care.
yeah,
I don't. I'm over it. Go kill people. Go fight aliens.
yeah. I would like to like when we have like a slow time, maybe also revisit some stuff that we missed that we didn't talk about, or even some like Marvel TV stuff that might
Yeah,
kind of like coexist, or like even the bad stuff. Like I think rewatching Inhumans as a bad show might be fun just to talk about. But I
yeah,
don't think it's really something that's like podcast material that people are looking for. And if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But I feel like more people, despite like Secret Invasion getting like low uh like Rotten Tomato stuff, I think it's stuff that more people would want to search and listen to
right.
compared
I think
to a
when we
show.
when I finish She-Hulk, I think we'll have a podcast because you'll be interested to hear my thoughts on it
Well,
probably.
speaking
Because
of, yes, probably. But speaking of, I just finished editing my last She-Hulk review video, so that's going to be uploaded on YouTube probably sometime this week. That
yeah,
this podcast is probably up on YouTube the week that we record it. So yeah, both of those videos will be up. So yeah, I think that's it. So I don't know when we'll be back, but that's it for us today. Let us know what you thought about Secret Invasion, what you're looking forward to, if what your opinions are on Captain America at the end of Endgame. And yeah, we'll see you for the next one, probably Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse or Loki season 2 or
I've
something else.
I have one last thing I will say about Secret Invasion.
Okay, the
It
music's playing,
does,
so wrap it up quick.
as I say, it does have my favorite music in it. The intro for it, I was like, that's gonna be my phone background. I love it so much though.
There you go. Night, everyone.
See ya.